Chapter 43. Do you know what realm is above divinity transformation? My master suspects that the silent karma demon lord of the heavenly extinction sect is imminent. Yilan said solemnly. Guan frowned and asked, why make such a conjecture? Last night, the spiritual energy of the outer sect was drained, and it even affected the inner sect. Coupled with the recent killing of Lin Futian from the Wanyin sect by the Flying Leaf Sword Immortal, all these incidents combined prove that the demon path is preparing to besiege the supreme sect. Draining the spiritual energy of the outer sect is the first step in their plan. Among the demon path, only the silent karma demon lord of the heavenly extinction sect can accomplish this. His heaven-swallowing demon skill is said to be able to make the life force of an area disappear within 1,000 miles, Yilan said, a look of fear flashing through her eyes. This. Guan was somewhat choked. It was he who killed Lin Futian and did what happened last night. Is the demon path taking the blame for him? Although Guan was passively forced to become a spy for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion, he never considered himself a demon cultivator. He thought for a moment and comforted her, junior sister, don't worry. If the sky falls, the tall ones will hold it up. The Supreme Sect is the #1 sect in the Taizong dynasty. Even if the demon path attacks, how difficult would it be to shake the Supreme Sect? Yilan took a deep breath and looked at Guan with a determined expression. She bit her lip and said, Senior brother, let's elope. I am now at the Foundation Establishment realm. We can hide in the uninhabited forests and cultivate in isolation. I will help you reach the Foundation Establishment realm. Guan almost couldn't keep his expression in check. Good heavens, is she trying to make a lifetime commitment with me by taking advantage of the situation? Guan said helplessly, Junior sister, you're exaggerating. Besides, there is no completely safe place in this world. If we hide in the deep mountains and encounter a core formation realm demon cultivator, how can we respond? And you're just speculating. I don't think the demon path will attack. If the demon path really plans to besiege the Supreme Sect, shouldn't they be here by now? Making so much noise and not taking action, are they giving the Supreme Sect time to gather the great cultivators outside? Yilan thought about it and felt it made sense. She thought for a moment and said, how about you come to the outer sect to lay low with me? Guan said seriously, Junior sister, you really don't need to worry about me. Don't let me affect your cultivation. Remember this, if you truly care about me, then strive to become stronger and take care of me later. This is also for your own good. If an immortal cultivator doesn't prioritize cultivation, they will eventually encounter a situation where they are powerless. Yilan felt ashamed, realizing that she was indeed a bit hasty. Senior brother, I am now at the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm. It's not that easy for an average demon cultivator to kill me. Guan said with a proud smile. Yilan laughed out loud, then quickly covered her mouth, and said, Senior brother, a demon cultivator daring to infiltrate the Supreme Sect can't possibly be at the energy cultivation realm. Lin Futian, who was killed earlier, was said to be at the nascent soul realm. Guan snorted, what? A nascent soul realm old monster doesn't need to lift a finger to kill me? Yes, senior brother is the most powerful. Yilan laughed, the tension in her heart easing. Then, Guan inquired about the situation in the outer sect, and Yilan did not hide anything, telling him everything in detail. It was not until dusk that Guan saw her off. Originally, he planned to improve his cultivation and magic tonight, but hearing that the outer sect was already on guard, he dared not act recklessly and decided to lay low first. He still had a doubt in his mind. If he continued to break through while the nearby spiritual energy was drained, what would be the consequences? He guessed that the lifespan barrier might devour spiritual energy from further away, which would cause the Supreme Sect to take serious action. For the next 3 days, Guan stayed in the Mystic Valley and did not even go to the 8 scenic caves. Sky Dragon had already started cultivating. It didn't need to eat meat for many days, and besides, Guan had prepared a batch of mature green vine fruits for it, which it could eat when it got hungry. Guan and Sky Dragon had a soul resonance, so it could remember everything he instructed. Since its birth, it hadn't caused him any trouble and was a child he could rely on. This day, at night, Guan was reading in the attic. With his exceptional 5 elements heavenly spirit root, just one breath could absorb the spiritual energy within a tenjong radius and convert it into spiritual power very efficiently. Because the spiritual energy of the outer sect was still recovering, he could not cultivate and had to restrain himself. Suddenly, Guan sensed something and his eyes changed slightly. He did not get up but continued reading. After 30 minutes, a figure appeared outside his window. The person quietly pushed open the window and leaped inside. Guan immediately threw a lifespan detection toward him. Fuxiong, Foundation Establishment Realm 2nd Layer 160/198/240. After encountering Li Xiandao and Lin Futian, Guan had become more reliant on lifespan detection because there were too many tricksters in the immortal cultivation world. Fuxiong appeared to be around 50, of average height, dressed in black, with dark circles around his eyes and eagle-like eyes, giving off a feeling of deep scheming. He stood up, looked at Guan, and asked, "Are you the Valley Master?" Guan frowned and asked, "I am." "Who are you, sir?" Fuxiong did not answer but scrutinized him. After a few seconds, he suddenly said, "The 1000 Autumn Green Vine never regrets." Guan was silent. His divine sense had already spread out, confirming that Fuxiong came alone. He reluctantly replied, "The myriad spells silently seek the root." Upon hearing this, Fuxiong's face relaxed. He walked to the table and sat down as if he were at home. While pouring himself tea, he asked, "Where is Qing Xiandan? Is he dead already?" Guan nodded and said, "Master has already left." "What business do you have with me, senior? Do you know the whereabouts of the green vine tree?" Fuxiong took a sip of tea and asked, eyes scanning the room as he spoke. Aside from books, the room was filled with various medicinal herbs wrapped in spirit protection paper. Seeing that Fuxiong didn't seem genuinely concerned about the green vine tree, Guan asked, "What is the green vine tree?" Fuxiong's eyes returned to Guan as he asked, "Your master never told you?" Guan shook his head, indicating that he had not. "The green vine tree is the holy tree of our 1000 Autumn Pavilion. Over 200 years ago, our pavilion sent someone to bring a green vine tree to the outer sect of the Supreme Sect. However, as time passed, the clues were lost, and we don't know where the green vine tree is hidden," Fuxiong said, frowning. "It had arrived over 200 years ago." Guan frowned, pondering if Jiang Qiong had concealed something from him. Fuxiong sighed, "To be honest, my master is about to break through to the divinity transformation realm. Tribulation crossing is extremely perilous. I want to find some green vine fruits to aid him." Guan, intrigued, asked, "What is the divinity transformation realm?" "Above the foundation establishment is the core formation, and above that is the nascent soul. The stage beyond the nascent soul is divinity transformation," Fuxiong said, stroking his beard with a smile, as if he were the one about to break through. "Is the tribulation crossing for nascent soul realm cultivators also dangerous? I heard that the nascent soul is already equivalent to an immortal." Guan said in astonishment. "Immortal? Still far from it. Foundation establishment to core formation also needs tribulation crossing. Any tribulation crossing is dangerous, a life or death situation. The higher the realm, the more perilous the lightning tribulation. My master has been preparing for 10 years to overcome it," Fuxiong said, his face showing signs of longing. Guan asked, "What preparations are needed? Can't you just directly undergo the tribulation crossing? How can that be possible?" "One must prepare elixirs to maintain spiritual power and heal injuries, have formations to support, and carry several sets of magic artifacts. I've never heard of anyone undergoing the tribulation directly." Fuxiong glared at Guan, thinking his questions were too foolish. Guan felt much relieved after hearing this. Fuxiong suddenly smiled, "I see you have quite a few medicinal herbs in your medicine valley. Why not become my disciple? In the future, I will support you and teach you magic. Every year, you just need to offer me 30% of Medicine Valley's yield. How about it?" Guan frowned again. Fuxiong whispered, "Kid, my master, which is your martial master, is in the inner sect. Once he breaks through to divinity transformation, he will definitely become an elder. By then, whatever you want, you will get. Guan widened his eyes, asking in surprise, if Senior's master can become an inner sect elder, doesn't that mean he has been lurking for many years? Why doesn't he know the whereabouts of the green vine tree? It's a long story. Let's discuss the matter of becoming my disciple first. Fu Xiong said in a low voice. Guan hesitated. Is this Senior Master's intention? How could it be? My master doesn't even know him in this Medicine Valley. Kid, you're just a servant disciple. How could someone as important as my master pay any attention to you? Fu Xiong was very displeased. Guan stood up, looking down at him, and asked, one last question. Fu Xiong frowned and said in a deep voice, what question? He really wanted to kill this kid in front of him. So much nonsense. Do you know what realm is above divinity transformation? What? Fu Xiong was stunned, then suddenly enraged. How would he know the realm above divinity transformation? He thought the other was toying with him. Just as he was about to stand, Gu An's right hand was already pressing down on his head. He looked up, and saw that Gu An's face was extremely cold, his eyes flashing with a chilling light, and his entire aura had dramatically changed. At this moment, Fu Xiong felt like he was facing his master. No, his master wasn't this terrifying. He wanted to speak, but his consciousness quickly plunged into blankness, his eyes becoming vacant. Guan was using the soul-capturing skill. Although he previously couldn't master it, now with his exceptional 5 elements heavenly spirit root, he understood it quickly. Though not very proficient, it was enough to deal with Fu Xiong. His spiritual power suppressed Fu Xiong, and his divine sense forcefully intruded into Fu Xiong's mind, searching aggressively. An hour later, Fu Xiong had already perished. Guan reopened his eyes, breathing a sigh of relief. This guy really didn't know the whereabouts of the green vine tree and wasn't sent by his master. Guan moved his right hand upward, lifting Fu Xiong into the air. Spirit power fire emerged from his palm, starting to incinerate the other's body. He closed his eyes, not daring to watch the gruesome spectacle. The spirit fire of the void-crossing realm was immensely powerful. In under 4 breaths, Fu Xiong turned to ashes, leaving only a storage bag. He gained 4 years of lifespan as a result. Guan checked it out, taking all the medicinal herbs and spirit stones inside. As for magic artifacts and talisman paper, fearing someone might track them, he burned them along with the storage bag. The next morning, Guan descended as if nothing had happened. When the disciples gathered for practice, he felt a pang of guilt. Damn, my actions are becoming like those of the demon path. Thus, a whole month passed without any Thousand Autumn Pavilion cultivators coming to find Guan, allowing him to relax. One day, Di came by, and the two had a conversation in the attic. The third miss has mastered the Qilin step, and the clan leader is very pleased. He plans to celebrate her achievement with a banquet in the inner sect, and all Ji family servants must attend to help welcome the guests. In 10 days, meet me in front of the outer sect law enforcement hall. Prepare a batch of medicinal herbs as a gift. You might even earn the third miss favor, Di said earnestly. Guan nodded, coming to a decision in his heart. Tonight, he would practice 8 directions step. Let's see how strong Ji Xiaoyu's Qilin step really is. Chapter 44, Supreme Mastery of Magic, Teleportation Array. Di came quickly and left just as fast. Guan could feel his excitement, as if he truly considered himself a member of the Ji family. Guan was also very interested in the inner sect, and taking advantage of this opportunity to visit the inner sect through the Ji family banquet was a good thing. He planned to gather more spirit stones in the coming days, so he could make some purchases when he got to the inner sect. By the time nightfall came, Guan quietly left Mystic Valley, heading in the opposite direction of where he had broken through before. After traveling roughly 50 miles, he finally stopped. He sat before a mountain wall and summoned his attribute panel. He directly looked at the 8 directions step, investing 5,000 years of lifespan into it. This was a movement technique that not only helped in combat but also in escaping, so it had to be improved. As his thoughts settled, One line of prompts after another appeared. You have invested 5,000 years of lifespan in the 8 directions step for evolutionary cultivation. You practiced the 8 directions step for 1 year, successfully mastering it. You practiced the 8 directions step for 10 years. Your understanding of it reached a peak. Your comprehension of movement technique improved. You practiced the 8 directions step for 50 years. You had an epiphany. Your 8 directions step advanced to the mysterious 8 directions step. You practiced the 8 directions step for 100 years. Your understanding of the mysterious 8 directions step reached a peak. Your comprehension of movement technique improved. You practiced the 8 directions step for 300 years. Your mysterious 8 directions step returned to simplicity. You captured a thread of space truth. Your mysterious 8 directions step advanced to the Qilin step. You practiced the 8 directions step for 1,000 years. Your Qilin step returned to simplicity. Your comprehension of movement technique in space improved. Your Qilin step advanced to the Heavenly Dragon Mystic True step. You practiced the 8 directions step for 4,000 years. Your persistent cultivation finally received heaven and earth's response. Your Heavenly Dragon Mystic True step broke the limit and advanced to the Infinite Traceless Mystic Heaven step. You practiced the 8 directions step for 5,000 years. Your Infinite Traceless Mystic Heaven step reached Mastery Realm. Your comprehension of space improved. 8 directions step, mysterious 8 directions step, Qilin step, Heavenly Dragon Mystic True step, Infinite Traceless Mystic Heaven step. Guan felt a surge of excitement, and a vast amount of memories began to flood into his mind. He quickly activated the lifespan barrier and immersed himself into his inheritance. An hour later, Guan opened his eyes. He first looked at the lifespan barrier. It had only consumed 200 years of his lifespan. Although inheriting cultivation techniques and spells did not increase one's cultivation level, it still required absorbing spiritual energy, because during evolutionary cultivation, no matter what one practiced, one was always in an environment rich in spiritual energy. Compared to his previous breakthrough to the void-crossing realm, the spiritual energy he absorbed this time was not much. Guan looked back at his attribute panel, deep in thought. He surely needed to improve his cultivation level, but he wanted to avoid unnecessary attention for now. Moreover, he wanted to enhance his cultivation techniques before his cultivation level, planning to check if the inner sect had any 5-element skills. If not, he would grit his teeth and further the divine would pure yang skill to the end. After a moment of consideration, Guan decided to invest in the secret technique, the Demon Shadow Divine skill, taught by Jiang Qiong from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Jiang Qiong said this secret technique was very suitable for espionage, and he wanted to see how suitable it was. He would make a small investment, just 2,000 years of lifespan. You have invested 2,000 years of lifespan in the Demon Shadow Divine skill for evolutionary cultivation. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 10 years, and you began to master it. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 100 years, and it reached the Mastery Realm. Your speed in casting it increased. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 200 years, it reached the peak, and your comprehension of movement technique improved. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 500 years, it returned to simplicity and advanced to the Freedom Demon Body skill. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 1,000 years, your Freedom Demon Body skill reached the peak, and your comprehension of movement technique and causality improved. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 1,300 years. Your Freedom Demon Body skill returned to simplicity, advancing to the Great Yin-Yang transformation. You practiced the Demon Shadow Divine skill for 2,000 years. Your Great Yin-Yang transformation reached the peak, and your comprehension of movement technique and causality improved. Demon Shadow Divine skill, Freedom Demon Body skill, Great Yin-Yang transformation. It only advanced twice, indicating that this secret technique was indeed extraordinary. Jiang Qiong had not lied to him. Guan immediately activated the lifespan barrier, immersing his consciousness into the inheritance. After a long time, he slowly opened his eyes, a look of joy in them. This secret technique was indeed perfect for espionage. The Demon Shadow Divine skill could cover the practitioner's body with demonic qi, forming a demonic shadow that even divine sense could not penetrate. The Great Yin-Yang transformation was even more exaggerated. It could not be forcibly dispelled, allowing the practitioner to maintain the demonic shadow state until death, without revealing their true form even after death. The most crucial part was that this technique could not be deduced, and neither magic artifacts nor Dharma treasures could reveal the true form. It was incredibly tyrannical. With this skill, Guan could accomplish many things in the future. Especially when combined with the infinite traceless mystic heaven step, it was unbeatable. The infinite traceless mystic heaven step contained the mystery of the teleportation divine power, and each step could bring forth a Dharma aspect, capable of evasion and attack, infinitely mysterious. Guan once again summoned his attribute panel, looking satisfied. Name, Guan, lifespan, 34/30823, Spirit Root, Supreme 5 Elements Heavenly Spirit Root, Cultivation Level, Void Crossing Realm First Layer, Cultivation Techniques, Fire Control Art, Unmastered, Divine Wood Pure Yang Skill, Mastery, Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy Skill, Peak, Alchemy, Initial Insight, Myriad Poison Mystic Skill, Unmastered, Yin Yang Art, Unmastered, Ultimate Skills, Gale Shadowless Leg, Proficient, Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword, Proficient, Infinite Traceless. Mystic Heaven Step, Mastery, Great Yin Yang Transformation, Peak, Wood Spirit Sword Technique, Beginner, Ziwei Array Chronicles, Beginner, Spells, Soul Capturing Skill, Beginner, Sword Control Technique, Proficient, Enchanting Eyes, Unmastered, Poison Wood Array, Initial Insight, Wind Control Skill, Proficient, Corpse Control Skill, Unmastered, Divine Skills, Mystic Yellow Dragon Might, Minor Achievement. Tonight's harvest was quite fruitful. Guan deactivated the lifespan barrier, then stood up, taking a step forward. His figure vanished into thin air, reappearing in an instant several dozen feet away in the dense forest, then took another step and disappeared again. He seemed to be flickering continuously, showcasing the wonders of the infinite traceless mystic heaven step, and this was just a small try. The maximum distance he could cross was far greater than this. Soon, he returned to Mystic Valley. At noon, with the sun shining brightly, Guan stood in the city, looking at the towering buildings around him with curiosity in his eyes. The street he stood on was bustling with people, and there were even demon beasts in sight. In the sky, numerous cultivators were flying to and fro. Just this city alone probably had hundreds of thousands of people. The Supreme Sect had 4 inner sect cities, each with hundreds of thousands of disciples. It was truly astonishing. Guan suddenly felt he had underestimated the strength of the Supreme Sect and the vastness of the Taitsang dynasty. The 10-day period had already arrived. Long before yesterday, Guan had gone to the outer sect, where he had to assist the outer disciples in managing their caves. By the time he was done, it was already daylight, and by noon today, he found Yi, and the two of them used a teleportation array to reach the inner sect city directly. According to what Yi said, the outer sect city was thousands of miles away from the inner sect city, with the middle area inhabited by demon beasts raised by the Supreme Sect, along with some secret realms for disciples to train in and the Medicine Valley where high-rank medicinal herbs were cultivated. The teleportation array is a good thing, I must study it thoroughly. Guan thought to himself. He had just asked Yi, and in the inner sect, everything was available for purchase, including formations, provided he had enough spirit stones or spirit energy elixirs. In the immortal cultivation world, spirit energy elixirs were also a form of currency, capable of restoring a cultivator's spiritual power and serving as a substitute for spirit stones. Various sects had standardized the specifications for spirit energy elixirs, and each elixir contained spiritual energy equivalent to a low-grade spirit stone, with the same value. Since Li Xiandao invited him to manage the Medicine Valley, he had considered expanding the Medicine Valley. If every Medicine Valley had a teleportation array, it would be much more convenient. Guan, hurry up. Di urged ahead, and Guan quickly followed his pace. Along the way, Di introduced the buildings they passed. Guan listened attentively, planning to explore thoroughly in the coming days. The Ji family banquet would take days to conclude, so he had plenty of time to look around. Guan was not only listening but also performing lifespan detection. He did not see anyone in the Foundation Establishment realm. The worst cultivation level he saw was in the Core Formation realm. However, these Core Formation realm disciples were all over 200 years old. Walking through a few streets, Guan finally detected someone in the Foundation Establishment realm. That person was only 40 years old and already in the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, clearly a genius who entered the inner sect based on spirit root qualifications. Dee seemed to be intentionally broadening Guan's horizons, walking at a slow pace, which Guan appreciated. An hour later, they arrived at a mansion, vast in size. The courtyard walls extended for miles, and the plaque above the gate had 2 large characters written on it. G Mansion. Oh dear, how bold. Could it be that all the G family's inner sect disciples lived here? Guan secretly wondered, having a bad intuition. If things continued like this, there would come a day when the Supreme Sect would suppress the G family. By then, he would truly become a spy for the G family. Although he was currently affiliated with the Supreme Sect, in his heart, the G family was certainly more important. The G family raised him, allowing him to grow into an adult and leading him to join the Supreme Sect, the #1 sect. Such kindness could not be repaid merely by offering low-rank medical herbs. Of course, Guan would not actively repay the G family, but if the G family needed him, as long as it was not excessive, he would not refuse. 2 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators guarded the gate of G Mansion. Guan initiated lifespan detection and noted their ages were over 100 years, clearly not geniuses, likely house servants like Guan and Dee. Dee immediately stepped forward, presenting his token with humility, nodding and bowing. Then you shall take over from us. When night falls, we'll take you to your residence. Zhang Yan, one of the Foundation Establishment realm cultivators, said thoughtfully. Dee dared not refuse and immediately accepted. And so, Guan and Dee began their guarding duty upon arrival. Standing before a Qilin stone statue, Guan suddenly had an idea. Dee, you cover for me. I'll give you 100 low-grade spirit stones. I want to buy some medicinal herb seeds in the inner sect. It's also for the 3rd miss task, Guan said. Upon hearing this, Dee hesitated but could not refuse. 100 low-grade spirit stones. This kid was really generous. So, after Guan handed over 100 low-grade spirit stones to Dui, he left and began wandering around the inner sect city alone. He had not gone far when a voice called out, Guan, what are you doing here? Chapter 45. Why don't you acknowledge me as your master? Guan turned his head and saw Zwolin, Li Ya's childhood friend, walking towards him. After many years, Zwolin's cultivation level was only at the 3rd layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, likely still obsessively practicing his swordsmanship. Guan turned to him, clasped his hands in greeting, and said, the family summoned me to do some work, so I came. You still have a family? Weren't you born a house servant? Zwolin asked curiously. Guan replied, I am indeed a house servant of the G family. Our 3rd miss is about to hold a banquet, so I came along with other house servants to assist. What? You're from the G family? Zwolin's eyes widened. Guan countered, didn't senior brother Li tell you? Zwolin shook his head and said, he didn't. That's quite a coincidence, my father was also invited by the G family, and I came along for the fun. Isn't the G mansion in the back? Where are you heading? He had always been very interested in Guan and felt that Guan was not simple, so he didn't want to miss this rare encounter. I'm planning to stroll around the inner sect city. Then I'll accompany you. Although I'm not an inner sect disciple, I've come here quite often, thanks to my father, Zwolin said enthusiastically, and Guan did not refuse. The 2 chatted while walking forward. Zwolin talked about his father, and through his words, Guan gained a deeper understanding of the hierarchy within the Supreme Sect. Generally, once a disciple reached a certain realm, they would move upwards, but some people chose the path of power, like Zuijian, who entered the Hall of Elders. Unlike other departments, the Hall of Elders was the power center of a city. The threshold for the outer sect Hall of Elders was the core formation realm, while the threshold for the inner sect Hall of Elders was the divinity transformation realm. The Hall of Elders had absolute power in each city. It was said that in the main city of the sect, the power of the Hall of Elders was even higher, capable of deciding the position of the sect leader. Therefore, Some nascent soul realm cultivators chose to stay in the outer sect as elders to continue benefiting themselves. Zhua Yijian had come to the inner sect but could not yet join the Hall of Elders, so he became the head of the inner sect's book collection hall, which was quite a prestigious position. It's all the fault of the flying leaf sword Immortal, who made my father obsessed. Now he's always holding on to the investiture of the gods and never practices his swordsmanship, Zhua Lin said indignantly. Guan asked, do you not find the investiture of the gods good? It's excellent. Let me tell you, I like Yang Jian the most. So many demon cultivators had died in the outer sect, yet the demon path didn't dare launch an attack against the supreme sect. Furthermore, even spies like Jiang Qiong in the core formation realm only dared operate outside the outer sect. If the supreme sect was a large map, Guan was only active in a small corner. Up until evening, Guan said goodbye to Zhua Lin and returned to the entrance of the Ji mansion, where Di was still waiting, making him feel somewhat touched. Why did you come back so late? Without me, you wouldn't be able to get in. Di complained. Guan smiled, patted him on the shoulder, and without saying much, the two walked into the Ji mansion. As soon as he entered, Guan sensed multiple auras. It turned out that the Ji mansion also had isolating restrictions. He even detected the aura of a divinity transformation realm. Along the way, he cast lifespan detection on everyone he encountered. There were many people in the Ji mansion, and many of them were geniuses. Although Ji Xiaoyu only brought 5 people into the supreme sect, the Ji family had multiple branches, and each year, there were always new members entering various sections. After half an hour, Di brought Guan to see Ji Lin, this renowned outer sect genius. Ji Lin, Foundation Establishment Realm 9th Layer 36/330/900, 36 years old and at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm, very strong. He likely took a lot of elixirs. Guan thought while looking at Ji Lin, who took out the prepared medicinal herbs. Ji Lin was not arrogant and had a good attitude towards Guan. He painted a rosy picture for Guan, who pretended to be excited, making this meeting end perfectly. Afterward, Di brought Guan to their residence. The two lived in the same courtyard, but each had their own room. A quiet night passed. Early the next morning, just as the sky got light, Di pulled Guan out of the courtyard. The two waited at the main gate. They weren't the only ones, there were a dozen cultivators waiting too. Under the leader's arrangement, they stood in 2 rows, preparing to welcome the prestigious guests for today's banquet. An hour later, guests began to arrive. The first was a nascent soul realm cultivator. After that person entered the mansion, Guan overheard other house servants discussing that he was from the inner sect law enforcement hall, a figure of considerable power. As time went on, more guests arrived. Each leading figure of the groups had a minimum cultivation level of the nascent soul realm, and there were quite a few from the divinity transformation realm as well. No wonder Li Xiandao had to hide his cultivation level. Though he was at the 8th layer of the divinity transformation realm, he was still far from invincible. One person's arrival caught Gu An's attention. It was Luo Xuanya, Fuxiang's master. Guan remembered his face from searching Fuxiang's soul. Luo Xuanya, Nascent Soul Realm 9th Layer 254/804/1300, 254 years old and at the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. He was quite the genius. The Ji family representative attending to the guests was clearly on good terms with Luo Xuanya. They exchanged pleasantries for a while. Who would have thought this man was a demon cultivator? Guan thought silently. Throughout, he never spoke, just stood there quietly, which was quite relaxing. Another half-hour passed, and Guan spotted another spy from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Jiang Qiong. Jiang Qiong, Nascent Soul Realm 1st Layer 192/700/2490, 7 years without seeing her, and she had managed to successfully pass the tribulation. Jiang Qiong wore the attire of an inner sect disciple, her expression cold and devoid of the flirtatiousness she had when facing Guan before. She merely glanced at Guan, and the two had no interaction as she entered the Ji mansion. Why is she here? It shouldn't be just to celebrate, right? Guan pondered in confusion. Would Jiang Qiong scheme against the Ji family? Pan, suddenly, a voice full of joy caught Gu An's attention. He saw Gu Yu, whom he had met once at the book collection hall in the outer sect, walking towards him quickly. Behind Gu Yu was a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious clothing, exuding an extraordinary aura, although his breath was faint, clearly the result of some energy-concealing sorcery. Guan instinctively cast lifespan detection. Gu Zong, Void Crossing Realm Second Layer 690/1805/2800, what a guy. Void Crossing Realm. Sure enough, the Supreme Sect had concealed Void Crossing Realm cultivators. This man's surname was also Gu, obviously sharing blood with Gu Yu. Guan had suspected that Gu Yu was no ordinary person. Guan, are you of the Ji family? Gu Yu asked excitedly as he approached Guan. Guan nodded and said, I am merely a house servant. With your talent, why be a house servant? I'll have my father bring you into the inner sect. Gu Yu said grandly, drawing the attention of the nearby Ji family members. Gu Yu turned to Gu Zong and said, Father, this is the person I often mention. Take him under your wing. The cultivators behind Gu Zong, all at the nascent soul and divinity transformation realms, curiously studied Guan upon hearing this. Crap. How did it come to this guy? Guan cursed inwardly. Gu Zong frowned and said, such behavior in public is unbecoming. Guan breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, a great cultivator knew not to break the rules in public. Gu Zong looked at Guan and his severe expression suddenly softened, replaced by a warm smile. He said, Little friend, I am Gu Zong. Would you accept me as your master? This statement caused everyone to react dramatically. Di looked at Guan in disbelief. The breath Guan had just released was held again. Senior, my spirit root qualification is mediocre. I'm afraid I'm not suitable to be your disciple, Guan said helplessly. Gu Zong smiled and said, I choose my disciples based on fate, not qualifications. What you've written is quite good, I like it a lot. In front of everyone, how could Guan agree? Furthermore, he didn't like to have a master of the same realm. He had been forced to accept Qing Xiandan as his master back then. I need to discuss this with someone. I hope you understand, Elder, Guan said, taking a deep breath and feigning difficulty. Hearing this, Gu Zong laughed aloud. As he walked inside, he patted Gu An's shoulder and left these words before entering the Ji mansion. After the banquet, we'll have a proper talk. You don't have to be my disciple. Help me with one thing, and I'll fulfill any request you have. Gu winked at Guan before following in his father's footsteps. After this group of guests entered, the surrounding Ji family members gathered around, asking what Guan had written to earn Gu Zong's favor. An elderly cultivator jokingly said, Could it be that the investiture of the gods was written by you? Guan smiled and said, I wish I had written it. Di snorted, how could he possibly have written the investiture of the gods? It's probably something related to planting medicinal herbs. Others joined in the ribbing. After this episode, Gu An's presence skyrocketed. Just when Guan was looking for a way to escape, a Ji family cultivator came out from the mansion and said, Who is Guan? The third miss requests your presence. Chapter 46, Primordial Daoist Talisman, Demon Path Ambition. He's Guan. Di gave Guan a push, making Guan stagger slightly. Then he looked at the summoning cultivator and said, I'm Guan. Come on. The cultivator responded, then turned and walked toward the mansion. Guan followed his steps, puzzled, wondering what Ji Xiaoyu wanted with him. He had very little interaction with Ji Xiaoyu in his childhood since their statuses were vastly different. After Guan left, the Ji family cultivators guarding the gate gathered around Di, inquiring about Guan. Du's expression became somewhat unnatural as he answered them one by one. Meanwhile, Guan followed the summoning cultivator for 2 miles before arriving at Ji Xiaoyu's courtyard. The summoning cultivator stopped outside the courtyard gate, raised his hand to signal Guan to enter the courtyard, then turned and left. Guan could already sense Ji Xiaoyu's presence. By his judgment, Ji Xiaoyu was also at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm but was much stronger than Ji Lin. He stepped into the courtyard, which was filled with a bamboo grove and spring scenery, although it was autumn. Walking along the bamboo grove's path, he soon saw a pool surrounded by white spirit mist. In the mist, a figure was sitting and cultivating, vaguely revealing it to be a woman. As he approached, he clasped his hands in salute toward Ji Xiaoyu in the pool and said, "Guan greets the 3rd Mississippi." Ji Xiaoyu, dressed in green, sat cross-legged, hovering above the pool's surface, her hands forming a mudra on her knees. Her long hair was tied atop her head with 3 pearl-inlaid hairpins, with 2 strands of hair drifting beside her cheeks. Her forehead was white and bright like jade, with a faint red line appearing indistinctly. In terms of features, only Jiang Qiong could compare in Gu An's mind. Unlike Jiang Qiong's ambiguous, enchanting aura, Ji Xiaoyu was like a celestial maiden descended from the heavens. There was no emotion on her face, exuding an untouchable, sacred aura. Guan recalled the scene when he first met Ji Xiaoyu as a child. Even then, he felt Ji Xiaoyu was not like other children, her eyes seemed seasoned by the years. He immediately used a lifespan detection skill. Ji Xiaoyu, Foundation Establishment Realm Level 934/830/8900, what the hell? An extreme lifespan of 8,900 years? The most crucial part was that she was only at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. How could she have an 830-year lifespan? Guan was shocked, suddenly thinking that Ji Xiaoyu was not just a dual spirit root. You did well earlier. After the banquet, you should meet Gu Zong. You can apprentice under him. Ji Xiaoyu spoke without opening her eyes. Her voice was melodious, gentle, yet authoritative. This guy actually eavesdropped on the conversation at the gate. Guan inwardly scoffed, but outwardly he replied, "3rd Miss, I truly do not wish to apprentice under him. I can see his identity is not simple, and his cultivation must be high. However, I have mediocre talent. If I apprentice under a renowned master, I might get into trouble. I just want to stay in my medicine valley and live out my days peacefully, contributing a batch of medicinal herbs to 3rd Miss annually, which already satisfies me." Upon hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu opened her eyes. The mist before her dispersed, and she turned her head, giving Guan a sideways glance. The corners of her eyes seemed drawn with a single stroke, slightly raised, adding a touch of intensity to her soft eyes. Her bright eyes seemed to want to see through Gu An's heart. Guan slightly lowered his head, avoiding direct eye contact. It wasn't out of fear, it was just that his current apparent identity was a house servant at the 9th level of the energy cultivation realm. He had to keep up the act. Then don't apprentice, but you still have to meet Gu Zong since he wants to see you. This matter proves to be difficult for you, so tell me, is there anything I can do for you? It'll certainly help if I can, Ji Xiaoyu said softly. Perhaps it was because Ji Xiaoyu saved Guan when they were young that Guan had a favorable impression of her. Hence, after hearing her words, he didn't hold back, saying, "3rd Miss, my mystic valley is too small. I want to plant more medicinal herbs. Can you help me get another medicine valley? But please, don't move me from Mystic Valley. I can't bear to leave my hard work behind." Hearing this, Ji Xiaoyu fell into silence. Guan wasn't in a hurry, patiently waiting for her response. If she couldn't help, he could always rely on Gu Zong. He could roughly guess why Gu Zong wanted to meet him. What would a writer be needed for? Ji Xiaoyu finally spoke, "I can't fully promise regarding the Medicine Valley. This area isn't the Ji family's land, and you don't want to leave your Mystic Valley. I will give it my best shot. Besides, you can make another request." Guan immediately said, "Could you get me a teleportation array formation to connect both Medicine Valleys, making travel easier?" "That's not difficult. After the banquet concludes, I'll have someone deliver it to you." "Thank you, 3rd Miss." Guan smiled, clasping his hands in a salute again. Ji Xiaoyu closed her eyes and asked, "By the way, what exactly did you write that made Gu Zong value you so much, even wanting to accept you as his disciple?" Guan thought for a moment, realizing that there was no hiding it. He decided to be honest since Ji Xiaoyu might investigate him later anyway. By being straightforward, he could have the Ji family's protection. Investiture of the gods. When Guan uttered these 4 words, Ji Xiaoyu's eyes widened, looking at him with amazement. You wrote Investiture of the gods? How do you know so much? Ji Xiaoyu asked with a frown. Guan sighed helplessly, I made it up. It's not real. Currently, many people believe that Investiture of the gods depicted ancient history. Even people like Zwolin and Wuxin thought so, and it made Guan anxious for a while. If he hadn't checked the outer Sect's book collection hall and found no records related to Huaxia, he might have believed Investiture of the gods was real. Made up? But the world you describe is so vast, and those Daoist sorceries are fascinating, Ji Xiaoyu said softly. Clearly, she also enjoyed reading Investiture of the gods. Guan pretended to be awkward, unsure of how to respond. You mustn't tell anyone else about this. The impact of Investiture of the gods is immense. The name of Panan has spread throughout the Taizong dynasty, and other sects are looking for you, Ji Xiaoyu warned. She thought for a moment, then raised her right hand. The jade ring on her middle finger glowed, and a small bronze sword appeared in her palm. This is a talisman treasure, you only need to infuse spiritual power to activate it. It can kill core formation realm cultivators, keep it for self-defense. Ji Xiaoyu's words made Guan take a closer look at the bronze sword. It was his first time encountering such a talisman treasure. Jiang Qiong had once mentioned that talisman treasures couldn't acknowledge a master and required stored spiritual power to be used. They were usually given by great cultivators to their juniors for protection. He hadn't expected to receive one today. He didn't refuse and accepted the bronze sword. Go rest in your room. You don't need to guard the gates anymore. Ji Xiaoyu closed her eyes again, her tone returning to its earlier indifference. Guan raised his hand in a salute, then turned and left. After leaving the courtyard, Guan was secretly curious. He sensed something indescribable and elusive from Ji Xiaoyu that made one inexplicably want to possess it. He didn't dwell on it further and walked toward his own courtyard. As more guests arrived, the Ji mansion became livelier, with people everywhere. Cultivators in the divinity transformation realm chatted and laughed with nascent soul cultivators accompanying them, while those in the core formation realm bustled about, highlighting the stark status differences brought by cultivation levels in the Ji mansion. As Guan walked, he suddenly saw someone. Jiang Qiong. The two met in a corridor, facing each other. Guan remained calm, his expression unchanged, and Jiang Qiong did the same. They brushed past each other, their shoulders almost touching. Suddenly, Guan felt a jade pendant being slipped into his left hand. Use your divine sense to examine it in your room. Pretend we don't know each other. Jiang Qiong's voice echoed in Gu An's ear. She used the sound transmission skill. Guan clenched the jade pendant in his hand and walked away without looking back. The two parted ways as if they were strangers. In his room, Guan sat in meditation on his bed, clutching the jade pendant in his left hand with the back of his hand facing upwards. Even inside, he didn't let the pendant be exposed. He directed his divine sense into the jade pendant, soon frowning. Inside the pendant was a remnant of Jiang Qiong's divine sense, explaining why she had come to the Ji mansion. Jiang Qiong's target this time was Ji Xiaoyu. Not only her, but the Thousand Autumn Pavilion and other demonic path sects had also sent spies to seize the Primordial Daoist Talisman within Ji Xiaoyu. The Primordial Daoist Talisman was a unique power akin to a bloodline, inherent from birth. But once the possessor formed a core, the talisman would appear on the golden core. At this point, if the golden core was snatched, the talisman would leave the cultivator's body. According to Jiang Qiong, the Daoist talisman was an extremely rare phenomenon, encountered once in a millennium, even rarer than the heavenly spirit root, and held profound fate-altering capabilities. No wonder Ji Xiaoyu's lifespan was so absurd, it was because of the primordial Daoist talisman. Guan found himself in a dilemma. On one side was Jiang Qiong, and on the other was Ji Xiaoyu. Who should he support? Forget it. He decided not to get involved. Jiang Qiong wouldn't act until Ji Xiaoyu formed her core, and by then, he would be back in the Mystic Valley. He was very curious about the Primordial Daoist Talisman. The mysterious energy he had sensed from Ji Xiaoyu, was that the talisman's aura? Even a great cultivator in the void-crossing realm like him couldn't help but desire it, indicating the immense power contained within the talisman. As time passed, the banquet proceeded smoothly, with the lurking demon cultivators making no rash moves. At midday, Ji Xiaoyu demonstrated the Qilin step for the guests, and Guan witnessed this from the courtyard. Ji Xiaoyu stepped out from the courtyard, each step ascending towards the sky. With every step, a Qilin Dharma aspect appeared beneath her feet. After 7 steps, the Qilin Dharma aspect enveloped her figure, making it seem like 7 dark red Qilin stood in the air, quite a spectacular sight. With his enhanced vision, Guan could tell that Ji Xiaoyu could take 2 more steps. 9 steps were her current limit with the Qilin step. However, the ultimate limit of the Qilin step wasn't 9 steps. When practiced to the peak creation realm, one could take 1,000 steps, with 1,000 Qilins acting like clones to either attack or confuse the enemy. Nevertheless, Ji Xiaoyu achieving the Qilin step by 34 was indeed impressive. With it, she could easily dominate those at the same cultivation level. In the evening, Di brought Gu Zong and Gu Yu to find Gu, and Di left after showing the way, not daring to interfere. An hour later, Gu Zong left with a satisfied smile. Guan escorted them to the courtyard gate. Gu turned back, winking at Guan. Remember, in my story, I must have many beautiful companions. I'll find you within half a year, and the Medicine Valley I promised won't be small. Chapter 47 Demon Shadow Divine Skill, First Showing of Divine Might. The purpose of Gu Zong seeking out Guan was to have him write his deeds into a book. Naturally, Guan did not refuse. After all, it was not as if he were asked to write Gu Zong as the protagonist of the Investiture of the Gods. In exchange, Gu Zong would promote Gu An's status to an outer disciple and grant him a Medicine Valley twice the size of Mystic Valley. Half a year later, Gu would bring the items to Guan, writing a book in exchange for a Medicine Valley. Guan thought it was a good deal, especially since he usually had nothing to do. That night, after Di returned to the house, he asked Guan what Gu Zong had wanted from him. Sect secrets, are you sure you want to probe? Guan asked meaningfully, scaring Di so much that he shuddered and dared not ask again. The next morning, after the guests from Ji Mansion left, a cultivator approached Guan and handed him a storage bag, saying it was from the 3rd Mississippi. Guan scanned it with his divine sense and found it contained materials for formations, quite abundant ones. Guan hesitated whether to remind Ji Xiaoyu, but seeing that the number of Ji family cultivators present today had not decreased but increased, with many even meditating on the eaves, he knew the Ji family had already sensed danger. Since that was the case, he did not need to worry about it. At midday, Guan followed Di, still returning to the outer gate city via the teleportation array. After bidding farewell to Duyi, Guan headed towards Mystic Valley. He had already begun to plan the planting schedule for the 2nd Medicine Valley in his mind. Coupled with Li Zuando's Medicine Valley, he would have 3 Medicine Valleys, which would inevitably lead to a significant increase in lifespan income in the future. Even though he had reached the first level of the Void Crossing realm, Guan still wouldn't mind having more lifespan. There must be many more levels above the Void Crossing realm, and the higher one goes, the more lifespan is needed. His goal was immortality, to climb to the peak of the immortal cultivation path. Standing on a flying sword, soaring through the world, Guan stood in the wind, carrying the dream of spring and autumn's longevity in his heart. When he returned to Mystic Valley, his brow furrowed. He controlled his sword to land, the flying sword following him into his storage bag. Not far away, Yi Yan, who was weeding, saw him and immediately ran over. Master, you're finally back. Yesterday, an elder came to our Medicine Valley to stay temporarily, Yi Yan reported first. Guan nodded and said, I know, you continue with your work. He noticed the surrounding mountains and forests of Mystic Valley had flags hidden among the weeds. Clearly, it was a formation. First, he sensed the other's aura, then pretended not to notice the formation, walking toward the direction of the cultivator's aura, quickly observing his medicinal herbs along the way. Good heavens! 6 4th-grade medicinal herbs were missing. Guan's eyes instantly turned cold. The other's cultivation level was not simple, a cultivator of the divinity transformation realm, but even if it was a divinity transformation cultivator, anyone who dared to steal his herbs had to pay the price. Guan arrived at Xiaochuan's courtyard, where he saw someone alchemy. The pill furnace looked ancient, half the height of a person, emitting wisps of green smoke. The alchemist was an elder, hunched, short and chubby, with white hair tied into a bun at the back by a grass rope. Qiu Qinli, 2nd level divinity transformation 486/930/1050. After confirming that the other had no hidden cultivation, Guan immediately approached and asked, "May I know the senior's name and origin?" His tone was very abrupt, quite different from his usual attitude towards people. Qiu Qinli stood up, turned to Guan, and laughed. "This old man's name is Qiu Qinli. I passed by this medicine valley and wanted to stay for a few days." Guan asked, "Is senior from the Supreme Sect?" Because Ji Xiaoyu was about to form a core formation, he had to doubt the other's identity. Usually, divinity transformation cultivators wouldn't come to his medicine valley. The busy disciples noticed the commotion and all glanced toward the courtyard. They could sense that Qiu Qinli had an unusual background, so they were relieved when they saw Guan return. "What about you? Are you the owner of this medicine valley?" Qiu Qinli asked with a smile. Guan replied, "Yes, senior." "Why don't you answer me?" Qiu Qinli shook his head and laughed, muttering to himself, "An individual cultivator in the Qi cultivation realm dares to talk to this old man like that." He suddenly squatted and struck the ground with his palm. Instantly, the ground trembled, and the flags hidden in the woods around them vibrated, releasing demonic Qi. The demonic Qi quickly rose, forming a demonic web that covered the entire mystic valley. Then the web turned transparent, as if nothing had happened. "What do you want to do?" Guan pretended to be panicked and asked. The disciples in the distance sensed something was amiss and immediately ran over. Xiaochuan and Yi Yan were the first to arrive, followed by Wu Xin, Zhen Qin, and Su Han. Others who arrived did not dare to get close, watching nervously from the courtyard's exterior. Su Han stood in front with a sword in hand, but from his trembling legs, it was clear he was very nervous. Zhen Qin's face turned pale with fear, but she still stood in front of Guan, making him want to laugh. Such a silly girl. Qiu Qianli's right palm was enveloped in sinister demonic qi. He stood up slowly, showing a ferocious smile. "Since the Valley Master has returned, this old man will no longer hide. If you want to live, then behave yourselves. Otherwise, this old man will skin you and extract your souls, leaving you to beg for life but unable to die." Feeling his terrifying aura, all the disciples were filled with dread. Wu Xin gathered his courage and asked, "We are all servant disciples. Even if you refine our souls, it won't benefit you. Let's talk properly. What do you want us to do?" He was afraid Guan couldn't see through the other's cultivation, so he spoke first. Qiu Qinli sneered, "You're smart. From now on, stay in the valley and await my orders. This old man needs to use your medicine valley to refine elixirs. Don't think about escaping. My formation is invisible and colorless. Even core formation cultivators would turn into a pool of blood upon touching it." Everyone had seen the formation just now, so they believed his words. Qiu Qinli looked at Guan, sneering, "Valley Master, this old man now tells you, this old man is from the Wanyin Sect. What do you think?" The Wanyin Sect. Truly haunting. Guan had hardly killed anyone in his life, except for Fuxiong, and everyone else was from the Wanyin Sect. Guan pretended to be frightened and gritted his teeth. "Please forgive my previous offense, senior. As long as you don't harm my disciples, feel free to ask for anything, even refining my soul first." Hearing this, the disciples panicked but dared not speak out, fearing they would anger Qiu Qinli. Wu Xin clenched his fists inside his sleeves, regretting, "If only I had practiced diligently, achieving greatness in cultivation, how could I let senior brother, Jin Qin, Xiaochuan, Su Han, and Yi Yan had similar thoughts. Qiu Qinli laughed, a scornful laugh. Guan quickly said, "Senior, I have 5th grade medicinal herbs in my room, perfect for medicinal primer. Do you need them?" "Not bad. You are sensible. Go quickly." Qiu Qinli waved his sleeve. Guan immediately ran towards his building. Others watched Qiu Qinli warily, afraid he would act unpredictably. Qiu Qinli picked at his ear and then looked at Jin Qin, laughing, "Little girl, come here and assist this old man." Seeing his sinister smile, Jin Qin felt disgusted and more terrified. What should she do? Judging by the formation just now, no one in the valley could handle this demonic cultivator. Just as Jin Qin was feeling uneasy, a purple-black figure appeared beside Qiu Qinli out of thin air. Qiu Qinli's pupils shrank, instinctively turning to look. So fast. How is this possible? Qiu Qinli was about to make a move, but the other's right hand, like a sword, pierced through his chest, lifting him in the air. His eyes widened, looking at the person below him in disbelief. This was a figure surrounded by dark purple flames, its true form indistinguishable, as if it came from the 9 netherworld. Wu Xin, Jin Qin, and the others were also terrified by the sudden appearance of this mysterious figure, retreating in unison. "Thou, an magical shadow divine skill of 1000 Autumn Pavilion," Qiu Qinli said tremblingly, his voice full of fear. He shockingly discovered he couldn't mobilize his spiritual power, the previous strike shattering his golden core, the other's domineering power repressing his primordial spirit within, unable to exit. The opponent must be above the divinity transformation realm. Using the great yin-yang transformation, Guan glanced at Wu Xin. Wu Xin seemed to realize something, his face changing drastically. Following that, Guan suddenly clenched his hand that pierced Qiu Qinli, terrifying sword chi erupting, instantly shattering Qiu Qinli's body, leaving only his primordial spirit hanging on Gu An's arm, while his storage bag fell into Gu An's other hand. Blood and flesh splattered. Wu Xin and the others were also splashed, but they were too frightened to react, standing there dazedly. Qiu Qinli's primordial spirit trembled, but before he could finish, he was crushed by Gu An's domineering power. Gu An's figure then vanished. The next second, the sound of a door being smashed came from a distance, and Guan, holding the 5th grade tiger blood flower, leaped down from the balcony of his building. He quickly rushed to the courtyard where Wu Xin and the others were, shouting loudly, "Senior! Don't act recklessly." He jumped over the courtyard wall and came to Jin Qin's side, looking at the bloodstains all over the courtyard. He quickly turned to look at the disciples and saw that no one was missing, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. He asked nervously, "That demon, where did he go?" His voice was very low, as if afraid Qiu Qinli would hear it. Jin Qin seemed to wake up, screamed, and then grabbed Gu An's robes, trembling, "Master, he died, he was..." The other disciples also awakened, turning to look in other directions, afraid that mysterious demonic figure would reappear. It took Guan a while to understand what had just happened from their words. It's safe to say, acting is exhausting. Guan called the disciples to remain vigilant, not to relax. At the same time, he secretly exerted strength with his right foot, spiritual power spreading through the ground, destroying the invisible formation. Above Mystic Valley, a demonic curtain suddenly appeared, followed by the mysterious demonic formation starting to collapse, the demonic chi dissipating into thin air, as if it had never appeared, with autumn leaves falling from the mountain top. The formation is dissolved? Yi Yan asked cautiously. Wu Xin took a deep breath, looking at Guan, "Senior brother, let's talk somewhere else." Killing Qiu Qinli yielded 66 years of lifespan, not bad. Feeling cheerful, Guan pretended to look puzzled. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded in agreement. The two walked towards Gu An's building, while the other disciples gathered together, discussing what just happened. Inside the building, Wu Xin closed the door, turned to Guan, gritting his teeth. "The one who acted earlier should be a great cultivator from the 1000 Autumn Pavilion, probably sent by my father to protect me." Chapter 48, Yangwood Primordial Skill, Void Crossing Realm 9th Layer. Looking at Wuxin's complex expression, Guan wanted to laugh, but years of acting experience kept him from breaking character. Guan's expression constantly changed, from shock, to a sigh of relief, and finally to tension. Wuxin noticed his senior brother's changing expressions, feeling more awkward, but he did not regret revealing this matter. Since opening his heart last time, Wuxin felt that his senior brother had become the closest person to him, and there should be no secrets between them. This matter must not be spoken about, or I won't be able to protect you. Guan took a deep breath and said seriously. Wuxin nodded solemnly, recalling the previous battle with a shiver of fear. Guan curiously asked, "Can you recognize the person from before, and what realm is he?" He wanted to probe the depth of Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Upon hearing this, Wuxin scratched his head and guessed, "I didn't see his true face, he might be at the nascent soul realm. His movement technique was too fast, I feel that a core formation realm cultivator wouldn't have such ability." Guan was stunned. This naive kid. He sighed and said, "You say your father doesn't care about you, but look, he still sent someone to protect you. He doesn't care about me indeed, but it might also be that he didn't want to lose face. Or perhaps the person who acted was just here on a mission for Supreme Sect." Wuxin guessed. He wasn't moved by this, still harboring resentment towards his father. Afterward, Guan gave a few more instructions and then took Wuxin downstairs. Guan did not let the disciples clean the courtyard, but kept the scene to let Wuxin report to the inner Sect's law enforcement hall the next day. All the disciples in the valley had witnessed the battle before, so it couldn't be hidden, and it was better to inform Supreme Sect in advance. He stood in front of Qiu Qianli's pill furnace, observing the medicinal liquid inside. He couldn't tell what kind of elixir Qiu Qianli was refining but decided to keep it for Supreme Sect to decide. That night, Guan came to 8 scenic caves. After feeding Sky Dragon with mutton as usual, he took out Qiu Qianli's storage bag. He emptied its contents and then destroyed the storage bag. He had to admit that a divinity transformation realm cultivator was indeed rich. Just the spirit stones and spirit energy elixirs alone were a huge sum. He checked everything one by one, burning all the useless things to avoid being tracked down. He also removed Qiu Qianli's imprint from those magic artifacts, making them ownerless. In the end, he was left with a letter containing a blank piece of paper that needed to be read with divine sense. And moreover, only at the divinity transformation realm could one peek into it. After some probing, he discovered why Qiu Qianli had come. It was for the Primordial Daoist Talisman. Qiu Qianli's task was to assist the Wanyin Sect spy in seizing the Primordial Daoist Talisman in the outer Sect. Apart from Thousand Autumn Pavilion, Wanyin Sect also had many spies planted within Supreme Sect. Being entrusted to Qiu Qianli, that person's cultivation level must be high. Demon path spies are truly pervasive. How many people, like himself before, had no choice? Guan lamented in his heart and then stood up to check the medicinal herbs in 8 scenic caves. The next morning, Wuxin took Tang Yu and Su Han to the outer Sect. Guan instructed the other disciples to continue their usual work, be it herding sheep, weeding, or watering. By noon, the three returned quickly because they had ridden on a core formation realm cultivator's magic artifact, a huge redwood fan carrying dozens of people, including Yilan. When everyone landed, Guan went up to greet them. Leading the group was an elder of the law enforcement hall named Murongying. Murongying, core formation realm 3rd layer 268/503/908, Murongying wore a purple robe, tall and handsome, with black and white hair, exuding the aura of a superior in every gesture. After listening to Guan's account of the incident, he nodded slightly and said, "You did well. We will now sweep this area thoroughly, not allowing any demon cultivators to lurk." Guan immediately expressed his thanks. The disciples of the law enforcement hall did not converse much with the valley disciples. They went to Xiaochuan's courtyard, witnessing the bloodstains on the walls and ground, all feeling a chill down their spines. Murongying approached Qiu Qianli's pill furnace, looked inside, and soon frowned. Meanwhile, Yilan came to Guan's side to comfort him. Guan had asked Wuxin to find her first, as it would be easier to request the law enforcement hall's assistance with her intervention. So, upon hearing about the trouble in Mystic Valley, she couldn't wait to come. Half an hour later, Muronging took the pill furnace and called the disciples of the law enforcement hall to leave. Watching the figures of the departing law enforcement hall disciples, Jinqin couldn't help but look at Guan and ask, "Is it over just like that?" Guan never expected much from the law enforcement hall. He only wanted to report the incident so he wouldn't be labeled a demon path spy. "They will investigate. Just trust your martial Uncle Yi," Guan said with a smile. Jinqin thought it made sense. However, the law enforcement hall's attitude still aroused her determination. She secretly vowed to become an outer sect disciple as soon as possible. Qiu Qinli may have been just a disturbance from Mystic Valley, but for Guan, it was a warning. How many times has Mystic Valley faced such danger? This is not good. I need to improve my cultivation level. In the blink of an eye, 7 days quickly passed. That night, Guan quietly left Mystic Valley and sat down in a forest 100 miles away. He called up his attribute panel, focusing on Divine Wood Pure Yang skill. First, upgrade the cultivation technique. He immediately invested 10,000 years of lifespan. Eventually, Divine Wood Pure Yang skill completed an upgrade, becoming Yang Wood Primordial skill, and its achievement also reached the mastery realm. Yang Wood Primordial skill also awakened a divine skill, which made Guan pleasantly surprised. He immediately activated the lifespan barrier to inherit the Yang Wood Primordial skill. An hour later, the inheritance was complete, and Guan understood the profoundness of the divine skill. This divine skill was named Yang Wood Boundless. It could inject spiritual power into the earth, forming Yang Wood that covered the land and could devour the essence energy of living beings, and even spiritual power. It was extremely terrifying, capable of covering 10,000 miles as long as the caster's spiritual power was sufficient. A very domineering divine skill, Guan really liked it. Guan continued to look at the cultivation level on the attribute panel. He planned to raise his cultivation level to the 9th level of Crossing Void Realm. As for breaking through, he feared the commotion would be too large, especially since he only had a little over 20,000 years of lifespan left. He first invested 1,000 years of lifespan, successfully advancing from the first layer to the 4th layer of Crossing Void Realm, which was quite good. However, after investing another 1,000 years of lifespan, his cultivation level only reached the 5th layer of Crossing Void Realm. In the end, after calculating, he used a total of 7,500 years of lifespan, reaching the 9th layer of Crossing Void Realm. He had a little over 13,000 years of lifespan left, so he stopped there. As the nature's spiritual energy poured into him, he began to carefully comprehend the mysteries within his body. He couldn't always rely on increasing his lifespan, he also wanted to establish his own understanding of cultivation. The nature's spiritual energy flowed into his body, gathering on his golden core, generating spiritual power, and nurturing his muscles, bones, and primordial spirit. His cultivation level continued to improve as a result. Even in the Crossing Void Realm, the cultivator's golden core remained in the Dantian, and after reaching the Crossing Void Realm, Guan could feel the importance of the golden core even more. This made him think of the golden core Dao in Daoist mythology. The core formation realm might have just laid the foundation, while the true mysteries of the golden core needed to be explored at higher realms, just like the spirit root. Guan always felt that cultivating a single spirit root to a certain stage would hit a wall. Immortals couldn't be all-powerful with just one attribute, could they? The primordial spirit and golden core were the same. The primordial spirit was the manifestation of the soul, allowing the cultivator to break free from the mortal constraints of the flesh. Guan wanted to try in the future if he could integrate the Yang Wood Primordial skill with other attribute skills to create a 5-element skill that perfectly matched his superior 5 elements heavenly spirit root. 2 hours later, Guan successfully reached the 9th layer of Crossing Void Realm, draining the nature's spiritual energy. The outer sect would probably be alarmed again. This was also good, as Supreme Sect would certainly be more vigilant, increasing the pressure on demon path spies and improving Ji Xiaoyu's success rate in Tribulation Crossing. Guan secretly felt that he had also helped Ji Xiaoyu out. Sure enough, the next morning, while Guan was leading the disciples in their exercises, he saw many great cultivators flying over Mystic Valley, and the disciples were discussing the subsidence of spiritual energy from the previous day. From the first layer to the 9th layer of crossing Void Realm, the amount of spiritual energy consumed was comparable to, if not greater than, advancing from the first layer of divinity transformation to the first layer of crossing Void Realm. Supreme Sect's outer sect experiencing 2 such events back-to-back would surely leave them in a tizzy. Guan intended to continue accumulating lifespan, so he wasn't worried about being discovered. Next was the grand development of Medicine Valley. In the bleak autumn wind, Mystic Valley lived a secluded life. Since the calamity of Qiu Qinli, the valley disciples had been cultivating more diligently. A month quickly went by. One day, Guan was studying the Ziwei Array Chronicles under a tree, with the white spirit rat napping nearby. It had grown as big as a fat dog. While reading the Ziwei Array Chronicles with one hand, he petted the white spirit rat with the other, feeling quite comfortable. Suddenly, Guan seemed to sense something, raising his eyes to look afar, in the direction of the inner sect. He felt the strong presence of a crossing Void Realm cultivator in battle. It seemed Ji Xiaoyu had successfully formed her core, and various demon path spies couldn't hold back and were now engaged in a fierce battle. Guan couldn't help but think of Jiang Qiong, hoping she wouldn't be reckless. With her cultivation level at the first layer of nascent soul realm, it would be difficult to seize Ji Xiaoyu's golden core. The inner sect was far from the outer sect, and the disciples of Mystic Valley, unaware of the battle, continued their cultivation. As night fell, Guan could still feel the battle's presence in the distance, indicating how intense it was. Cold wind blew in from outside the window. Guan sat at his desk reading, when he heard footsteps outside. "Senior brother, may I come in?" Wuxin's voice came through. Guan responded, "Come in." Quickly, he switched the Green Hero travelogue in his hand to Cheng Xuandan's 100 Herbs collection. Wuxin pushed the door open, then closed it behind him. Walking to the desk, he saw the 100 Herbs collection in Gu An's hand, secretly admiring his senior brother's dedication, his resolve growing even firmer. "My senior brother is so studious, I must help him." Guan looked up and asked, "It's so late, what brings you here?" Wuxin took a deep breath and said, "Senior brother, you've been stuck at the 9th layer of energy cultivation realm for some time now, right?" Guan raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean? Are you not satisfied with your senior disciple position and now eyeing my position as Valley Master?" Wuxin continued, "Senior brother, actually I am a genius, but I have cultivated a divine skill that suppresses the growth of my cultivation level. This skill accumulates strength for a later burst. It has the profound ability to change fate." Chapter 49 Daoist Expansion Skill, Divine Power Collection. "So, I'm actually a genius?" Upon hearing Wuxin's words, Guan almost burst into laughter. He chuckled and said, "In my eyes, you've always been a genius. Are you planning to teach me your cultivation technique?" Wuxin nodded and said, "When I say genius, I mean compared to others in the valley. But compared to my brothers and sisters, my talent is quite ordinary. The technique I practice is called Daoist Expansion Skill, taught by a divine monk. Once I start cultivating this technique, my cultivation realm won't increase, but my cultivation will keep accumulating. I plan to unseal my realm before my time is up. By then, my spirit root qualification and lifespan will transform. However, once unsealed, the Daoist expansion skill will lose its effects." After hearing this, Guan couldn't help but become interested in the Daoist expansion skill. "What realm is that divine monk in?" he asked curiously. Wuxin shook his head and said, "I'm not sure about his cultivation level. He calls himself the Immortal Seeking Taoist. If he's a Taoist, why is he called a divine monk? He accepted tonsure and wears a kasaya, how could he be a Taoist? I modeled my appearance after his. He said I would have extraordinary chi fortune in the future and forcibly accepted me into tonsure. The scars on my head were left by him, and now, I can't grow any hair. As he spoke, Wuxin felt wronged. He also wanted to be as handsome as Guan and attract women. Guan didn't press further and let Wuxin explain the Daoist expansion skill. He wanted to see how profound this Daoist expansion skill was. Wuxin began to explain the Daoist expansion skill earnestly. It took him a full hour to finish. The Daoist expansion skill was indeed profound. Its chi control method was extremely complex. From Gu An's cultivation level's perspective, the Daoist expansion skill concealed other mysteries. Senior brother, do you remember it? Or should I write it down for you tomorrow? Wuxin asked with concern. Guan smiled and nodded, sure. This technique sounds truly formidable. Thank you for your kindness. Let's rest for now. No need for thanks between us, Wuxin said with a smile. He was elated and felt he had finally helped his senior brother. With that, he turned and left. Once Wuxin went downstairs, Guan began to practice the Daoist expansion skill. Wuxin worried that he wouldn't remember, so Guan humored him to avoid revealing his current talent and cultivation level. In reality, unless the method was exceptionally unique, Guan could remember it by hearing it just once. 3 days later, in the mountains and forests, Guan was sparring sword techniques with Su Han. That day, Qiu Qinli caused trouble, and Su Han stood bravely with his sword at the front, which moved Guan. He decided to teach him a few moves. Su Han initially had low expectations, thinking his master was just bored. But once they sparred, the outcome was entirely different from what he had anticipated. Guan wielded a wooden sword, using simple steps and ordinary sword moves. Yet, he easily dismantled each of Su Han's moves. Su Han was greatly astonished, his esteem for Guan soaring. After dozens of moves, Guan flicked Su Han's sword out of his hand, sending it to the ground. Looking at the wooden sword hovering near his throat, Su Han swallowed nervously, stunned as he looked at Guan. Guan withdrew his sword and, with a smile, asked, "How was it?" "Remarkable," Su Han replied sheepishly. Guan shook his head, "I didn't ask for your evaluation of me. Did you sense anything?" Su Han hesitated and then carefully recalled. "Wait." He seemed to have realized something, his face changing drastically in surprise. He looked at Guan and hesitantly asked, "Master, were you using moves from the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword?" Guan nodded, "That's right. My understanding of the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword isn't deep. Do you know why I could counter your sword moves?" "Why?" Su Han asked. "I'm faster than you. But do you feel I'm slower than you, yet I always counter your moves?" "Yes, Master, I really feel you're slower, but still, think carefully. I seem slow because you're watching me, but my eyes are on your sword. Before you strike, I've already judged your sword's trajectory. When you attack, I do too. As the defender, my sword covers less distance, so when our swords clash, I seem slower but can still catch up to you." Guan explained patiently. Su Han frowned, meticulously recalling their sparring. Su Han soon understood. Indeed, from the moment their swords rose, the outcome was decided. Looking up at Guan with admiration, Su Han sighed, "Master, you are truly incredible. You became better than me at the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword after just looking at its manual once." Guan stepped closer and smiled, "I've also practiced swordsmanship, so I understand better than you. But keep this to yourself. I have some grudges, and others shouldn't know I know swordsmanship." Touched, Su Han quickly knelt on one knee, raising his hand in vow. "I swear never to reveal that Master knows swordsmanship. If I do, may I be struck by lightning and live a lonely life." Guan hastily helped him up, exasperatedly saying, "No need to swear. Your word is enough for me." Despite his words, he was satisfied with Su Han's attitude. With his cautious nature, guiding Su Han in sword training was already risky. Su Han scratched his head, smiling sheepishly. Guan continued to instruct Su Han in swordsmanship. Though he didn't practice the Hateful Heaven Divine Sword diligently, his mastery of the Taitsang Divine Shocking Sword made it easy to give pointers. After half an hour, Guan left the forest, leaving Su-han to train alone. He went to the valley entrance, his eyes locking on a wooden railing in a garden where someone stood, accompanied by the servant disciple Yang Min Jiangqiong. How dare this rascal openly enter Mystic Valley in broad daylight? Guan silently cursed. He had noticed Jiangqiong approaching Mystic Valley and thus ended his session with Su-han early. He hadn't stopped Jiangqiong earlier because Jiangqiong approached by flying on his sword, showing no effort to conceal himself. Guan walked briskly over and addressed Yang Min, "You can go now. I'll entertain her." Relieved, Yang Min quickly left. Jiangqiong turned to Guan and smiled, "Your disciple is quite shy." Guan replied, "Let's talk upstairs." Jiangqiong didn't object and followed him up to the loft. Once inside, Guan closed the door and softly asked, "Martial Master, why are you here, and during the day no less?" Jiangqiong took a seat, then waved her sleeve, sending 4 pieces of talisman paper to the doors and windows. She picked up the teapot on the table and poured herself some tea, saying nonchalantly, "What are you worried about? I'm still an inner sect disciple of the Supreme Sect. Before my severe injury, my identity wasn't exposed. I hid because I had enemies. But over these years, I found out they're dead." Guan sat down across from her and curiously asked, "Were your enemies from the Supreme Sect?" "To be precise, they were like me, demon path spies," Jiangqiong said with a mocking smile, emphasizing the words, demon path spies. Guan wanted to ask more, but Jiangqiong waved her hand, "No more questions. I plan to stay in your medicine valley for a while until things calm down." "What do you say?" Guan asked, frowning, "What happened?" He could tell Jiangqiong was severely injured, merely putting on a brave face. Jiangqiong's eyes turned complicated as she said softly, "That Ji Xiaoyu isn't simple. Just entering the core formation realm, she avoided my attack. In a moment of my distraction, a nascent soul cultivator from the Ji family severely injured me." "Did you strike?" Guan asked, instantly tense. Jiangqiong rolled her eyes at him and said irritably, "I didn't reveal my true self, thanks to the demon shadow divine skill I taught you. You needn't worry." Guan sighed in relief. He asked, "Did anyone take Ji Xiaoyu's Primordial Daoist talisman?" Jiangqiong shook her head and said, "No one succeeded. With the Qilin step, even nascent soul cultivators can't easily approach her. The Ji family members and Supreme Sect cultivators blocked any divinity transformation level demon path cultivator or stronger. The Supreme Sect elders are indeed powerful." She seemed to recall something, her face showing a hint of fear. Hearing that Ji Xiaoyu was fine, Guan felt relieved. Both of them surviving was, in his view, the best outcome. Guan looked at Jiangqiong, thinking about how to comfort her. Jiangqiong gazed at him, smiling slyly. "You didn't tip off the Ji family, did you?" Guan quickly shook his head, "How could I? I'm not that kind of person." "Really? Really? Does Martial Master want me to swear?" Guan said seriously. Su-han had just sworn to him earlier, and now he had to swear to Jiangqiong? Jiangqiong studied him, tutaying in amazement, "There's no need. Actually, I wanted you to report to the Ji family." Guan was puzzled, not understanding her meaning. Jiangqiong took a sip of tea and smiled, "Seeing you at the Ji mansion gate, I came up with an idea, through you, to tip off the Ji family, making them very vigilant. Only then can there be a fierce battle once Ji Xiaoyu's core formation is complete." "Too bad, I didn't expect you to be such a person. I misjudged you." Jiangqiong feigned a pained look and sighed. Guan remained silent. Jiangqiong's tone softened as she smiled, "But this shows you favor me more, and I didn't care for you in vain. From now on, I will treat you well. Congratulations, you've won your Martial Master's heart." "Martial Master, please don't talk nonsense." "Huh, look at you, bound by the rules of the righteous path, can't even take a joke." Jiangqiong covered her mouth, laughing, leaving Guan feeling helpless. Just then, Jiangqiong reached into her storage bag at her waist and placed a piece of bronze on the table. The bronze piece was square with chipped edges, engraved with densely packed tiny characters. Jiang Qiong's eyes burned with eagerness. This is my true purpose for going to the Ji mansion. It's the Ji family's divine power collection, containing one of their 10 great divine powers. It was a gift from the Ji family's clan leader to Ji Xiaoyu. This item requires the direct bloodline of the Ji family to activate. Of course, someone above the divinity transformation realm can forcibly break the restriction within. Passing down Ji Xiaoyu's Qilin step and this divine power collection, it seems they're preparing her to join the Holy Land. Divine power collection? Gu An's eyes couldn't help but gaze at the bronze piece, filled with curiosity. Jiang Qiong pushed the bronze piece towards Guan, saying, "Keep this for now. Hide it in the 8 scenic caves. When I get the direct bloodline of the Ji family's essence blood, it'll come to you. Keeping this on me is risky." Guan looked at the bronze piece on the table, blinking. Chapter 50 Heaven and Earth Path Gang, Tianya Valley. Guan put the bronze fragment into his storage bag and asked, "Are the Ji family's 10 divine abilities really that strong, that even a genius like you from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion would be so envious?" Jiang Qiong glanced at the wooden cabinet beside her and said softly, "Very strong. Moreover, they are not something you can master just because you want to. In the Ji family, anyone who can master even one divine ability, regardless of their status, will get the Ji family's special cultivation and be moved into the main family. In the Taizong dynasty, all the sects combined would struggle to overturn the supreme sect. The same goes for the clans. The disparity is vast. 3 major clans reign supreme over the dynasty, one of which is the Ji family." Listening to her, Guan suddenly suspected that there might be spies from the Ji family within the Thousand Autumn Pavilion as well. Indeed, it was the demon path. Following her words, Guan asked, "Who are the other 2 families?" "The Zhou and Gu families." "Why not the Li family?" "Heh, the Li family is just a puppet." Jiang Qiong spoke with disdain for the Li family, which gave Guan a new understanding of the Taizong dynasty. The royal family isn't the strongest family? Indeed, though Li Zuando's lifespan limit was strong, it couldn't compare with Ji Xiaoyu. Ji Xiaoyu was currently the most terrifyingly talented person Guan had encountered. The Gu Zong was probably related to the Gu family, and the void-crossing realm mastery evident how deep the Gu family's strength ran. As for the Zhou family, Guan hadn't come into contact with them yet. Taking this opportunity, Guan continued to inquire about the world of immortal cultivation from Jiang Qiong, who answered everything one by one. After about half an hour, Jiang Qiong grew impatient. "Why do you have so many questions? Quickly find me a place to stay." Jiang Qiong glared at him. It was the first time Guan heard her refer to herself as old lady. It seemed her injuries were becoming unbearable. Thus, Guan took Jiang Qiong downstairs and personally arranged a place for her to stay. After she settled down, Jiang Qiong began to cultivate her energies to heal and didn't come out of her room again. Zhen Qin, on the other hand, found Guan and curiously asked about Jiang Qiong's identity. Guan only mentioned that she was an inner sect disciple, which was enough to awe Zhen Qin. Soon, the news of an inner sect disciple arriving at Mystic Valley spread quickly among all the disciples, and they also heard that the inner sect disciple was very beautiful. Late at night, Guan entered the 8 scenic caves alone and buried the bronze fragment in the ground. He planned to investigate the Ji family's divine power collection after Jiang Qiong left. Autumn passed into winter, and white snow began to fall from the sky. After nearly a month of recuperation in Mystic Valley, Jiang Qiong bid farewell to Guan. As Guan watched her leave on her sword, he noticed she was heading in the opposite direction of the inner sect, likely leaving the supreme sect. Guan glanced toward Zhen Qin's house, where he could sense she was cultivating some kind of miracle skill that Jiang Qiong had taught her. Before leaving, Jiang Qiong had explained that Zhen Qin had pestered her to learn it. After watching for a while, Guan headed towards the mountain forest to check on the demon sheep roaming there. The demon path should have dispersed, and now it was time to return to a peaceful farming life. Guan wouldn't be complacent just because he was at the void-crossing realm 9th layer. He felt it wasn't enough and was already looking forward to the functions that a million-year lifespan might unlock, hoping for something powerful. In the days that followed, he occasionally left the valley to tend to the caves of the Outer Sect disciples and to purchase high-rank medicinal herb seeds from the Outer Sect. The winter snow grew heavier, blanketing the world in a pale expanse. One night, Guan quietly entered the 8 scenic caves. He dug out the bronze fragment from the soil and brought it to the green vine tree, where he sat down to meditate. The sky dragon approached, nudging him. Guan suddenly noticed that the sky dragon's body had begun to widen, which wasn't a good sign. He started to admonish the sky dragon not to overeat, as he didn't want to raise a fat dragon. After playing around with the sky dragon for a while, Guan finally began using his divine sense to probe the bronze fragment. Jiang Qiong hadn't lied to him. The bronze fragment indeed housed a powerful restriction, one that couldn't be forcefully broken by anyone below the void-crossing realm. Guan had already decided that if the divine ability could only be taught to one person, he would learn it first and then teach Jiang Qiong. If it could be used repeatedly, he would pretend he hadn't touched it. Boom! The powerful divine sense of a void-crossing realm 9th layer penetrated the bronze fragment, and the mysterious restriction lasted for just a moment before being forcibly broken. When the restriction was shattered, a huge influx of information surged into his mind. This influx of information was extremely complex and chaotic, with various pieces of information rudely breaking into his mind, causing him to frown slightly. Even after breaking the restriction, it still required sorting through the information, possibly serving as another test. Gu An's divine sense was strong and could capture minute connections, and after a while, he managed to sort it out. This divine ability was called the Heaven and Earth Path Gang. The snow piled up heavily, with this year's snowfall far exceeding previous years, forcing Guan to lead the disciples to shovel the snow. Unless it was an emergency, they didn't use spiritual power. As Guan said, this also counted as a form of cultivation. The heavy snow fell for half a day before it finally eased. Guan stood in front of the wooden fence, looking at his medicinal herbs. Not a single herb was damaged, which brought a smile to his face. After watching for a while, Gu An's gaze shifted to the entrance of the valley, where he saw a man wearing a rain hat and cloak, carrying a long gun wrapped in cloth, walking in. Luo Han, Core Formation Realm 8th Layer 66/400/2803, a maximum lifespan of 2,803 years. Impressive. Guan immediately walked over and came to Luo Han, cupping his hands in greeting. Just as he was about to inquire, the other person spoke first. Who is the Valley Master, Guan? Luo Han's voice sounded young, but it was full of vigor. Guan responded, I am. Who might you be? Luo Han raised his head, revealing a handsome face under the rain hat, but his left cheek bore a brand with the character for prisoner. The Emperor sent me. You have an ancient hour to prepare, then come with me, Luo Han said expressionlessly. After speaking, he walked past Guan and continued into the valley. A gleam of joy flashed in Gu An's eyes. Finally, it has come. He was eager to see how big Li Zuando's medicine valley was. He immediately went to find Wu Xin, who had already become the first disciple of Mystic Valley, capable of overseeing the entire valley. The so-called first disciple was a position, not necessarily the disciple of the Valley Master. Just like the first disciple of the Supreme Sect, who had the strongest strength, but wasn't the disciple of the sect leader. Upon hearing that Guan was leaving for a while, Wu Xin was excited, and Guan gave him many instructions, especially that the medicinal herbs needed to be left for him to harvest personally. Wu Xin knew that his senior brother had few hobbies, one of which was harvesting, and promised not to touch the herbs. Luo Han then approached Yi Yan, who was practicing staff techniques with a long stick, a family skill. Seeing Luo Han approach, Yi Yan quickly stopped and looked at him nervously. Luo Han pulled out a secret book from his pocket and tossed it to him, saying, You have good bone structure, you can practice this. Yi Yan caught the secret book and replied, But I am just a mixed spirit root. Spirit root only determines one's talent for energy absorption cultivation. Human talent has other aspects too. Your bone structure is better than most, making you a good talent for spear training. Once you master it, you can join the military in Sangzhou, make meritorious contributions, and then exchange for heavenly materials and earthly treasures to cleanse your marrow and change your life grid. Luo Han's words excited Yi Yan, and he promptly thanked him. Luo Han nodded slightly and then walked around, observing the medicinal herbs planted in Medicine Valley. After about half an hour, Guan found him and said they were ready to leave. Luo Han raised his hand, removing the long gun from his back, which gleamed in his hand with golden light, drawing the disciples' attention. Show off, Guan thought to himself. Luo Han leaped into the air, stepping on the long gun, and glanced towards Guan in the snow below, saying, "Come up." Guan immediately jumped up, landing behind him, standing on the gun shaft. Luo Han spurred his spiritual power, and the long gun carried them swiftly away, crossing the mountains and leaving a long streak against the snowy sky. Disciples in the valley gathered and curiously discussed Luo Han's identity. The sky was cold, and Gu An's black hair was blown backward, revealing a fair and handsome face. "Not bad, your control over spiritual power is very fine, you stand very stably." Luo Han's voice sounded, his back facing Guan, his tone tinged with admiration. Guan responded casually, "I usually enjoy sword control techniques, so I have studied it. Although your cultivation is low, having caught the Emperor's eye, you must have some outstanding qualities. When you reach Medicine Valley, feel free to do your best, I will protect the valley." Luo Han began talking about Medicine Valley, and Guan listened carefully. According to Luo Han, this Medicine Valley was very important to the Emperor. The Emperor planned to cultivate a group of geniuses within the valley for future use. If Guan performed well, he could also obtain a batch of precious medicinal herbs. Guan sensed that Luo Han had deep respect for Li Xiandao, which made him curious about the prisoner brand on Luo Han's face. Li Zuando's Medicine Valley was called Tianya Valley. Though near the Supreme Sect, it was thousands of miles from Mystic Valley, located in a demon beast-infested mountainous area. Guan suggested establishing a teleportation array in Tianya Valley to connect it to Mystic Valley, but Luo Han rejected the idea, stating that Tianya Valley's existence must remain unknown to the Supreme Sect. This made Guan want to complain. "You've planted it near the Supreme Sect, yet you want to keep it hidden?" But then he thought of the 8 scenic caves, guessing that Li Xiandao likely set up high-rank formations. To accommodate Guan, Luo Han flew at a moderate speed. Night fell, but he continued flying. Guan sensed that this area's forests were filled with demon energy, with creatures comparable to the core formation realm. Sure enough. Suddenly, a third-tier demon bird attacked from behind, but Luo Han struck out with a punch, his spiritual power forming a golden spear shadow that tore the demon bird apart, capturing its demon core with ease. After showing his power, no other demons dared to disturb them. By the next morning, Guan finally saw Tianya Valley. The mountains and rivers before them were shrouded in white mist and snow. Amidst the peaks lay a vortex of white snow, with white cranes flying within, beautiful like an immortal realm. Through the snow mist, Guan saw Tianya Valley and his expression grew peculiar. Tianya Valley lay among the mountains, about twice the size of Mystic Valley in area, with steel standing on the surrounding mountains, clearly part of some formation, yet to be activated. The downside was that the valley was overrun with weeds, exceedingly pristine. Meaning he would have to clear the land first. Guan couldn't help but ask, "Is it just the two of us in Tianya Valley for now?" Luo Han looked ahead as he descended the long gun, answering, "Don't worry, I will capture some demons to assist. This valley cannot recruit people randomly, we must wait for the Emperor to send them." Chapter 51, Zhou Tongyu, the strongest in a century hunting demons? Guan immediately became interested upon hearing this. As they descended continuously, the terrain of Tianya Valley appeared amidst the snowy mist. From mid-air, it looked like a vast green ocean. Streams flowed into the valley from all directions, and at the edges of the valley, 2 small rivers could be seen flowing underground. Soon, Luo Han landed with Guan, and he began wrapping his long spear with a cloth. "From now on, you are the valley master." Do whatever you wish and instruct me at any time. Luo Han said. Guan nodded, directly taking out the heavenly residence sword, and said, build a few pavilions in the peripheral area while I clear the weeds. Luo Han's eyes fell on the heavenly residence sword scabbard. His pupils suddenly dilated, and he immediately knelt down, saying in a deep voice, Luo Han greets the master of heavenly residence sword. Guan purposely took out the heavenly residence sword, fearing Luo Han might not take him seriously. The effect was excellent. What are you doing? Quickly rise. Guan feigned panic and hurriedly helped Luo Han up. After standing up, Luo Han's eyes were filled with complexity. He muttered, I never expected His Majesty would give you the heavenly residence sword. Guan asked in surprise, why such a big reaction? Luo Han replied, Taitsong has 3 emperor swords. Seeing the sword is like seeing the emperor. They are the heavenly inquiry, heavenly residence, and heavenly punishment. His Majesty holds the heavenly punishment sword, while the Crown Prince has the heavenly inquiry sword. Without His Majesty's permission, no one can possess the sword. Hence, seeing the sword is like seeing the emperor. Upon hearing this, Guan suddenly realized that Li Ya's status in Li Zuando's heart was very high, comparable to the Crown Prince's. If Li Xiandao didn't agree, it would be hard for Li Ya to inherit the heavenly residence sword. But this sword is now in his hands. Guan wondered if Li Xiandao had other plans. Guan habitually considered the worst scenarios, so he thought Li Zuando's intentions were not simple. After all, an emperor's heart is as deep as the sea. I see, then let's get to work. Guan responded. Luo Han had no objections, but he couldn't help but look at the heavenly residence sword a few more times. Soon after, he saw Guan using the heavenly residence sword to clear weeds, which made him hesitant to speak. Luo Han struggled for a while before eventually turning away. An hour later. The array steels around Tianya Valley were activated. Each steel burst out blue light, rising into the sky, then converging in the air to form a semicircular light shield covering the entire Tianya Valley, which then turned transparent. After activating the array, Luo Han began building the pavilions. By noon, Guan had cleared all the weeds at the bottom of the valley, working very efficiently. If he didn't have to hide his true strength, he could have stomped his feet to clear all the weeds. 3 days later. Guan had already finished sowing. Luo Han brought many high-rank medical herb seeds from his seemingly inexhaustible storage bag. In these 3 days, Luo Han had built 5 pavilions and caught 3 monkey demons. These 3 monkey demons were all second-tier demon beasts. They could walk upright, and apart from having fur, they looked almost human. Luo Han let Guan name them, so Guan named them Sun Da, Sun Air, and Sun Sen according to their cultivation levels, which made Luo Han silent for a while. The 3 monkeys liked the surname Sun very much. Guan led the 3 monkeys around the park, explaining their daily tasks. The 3 monkey demons could already speak human language, each of them clever, making communication easy. Guan was not worried they would misbehave because they were cursed by Luo Han with their life and death not in their control. Meanwhile, Luo Han lay on the pavilion stairs, taking out a book from his chest. The cover read, Investiture of the Gods. He was also a fan of Investiture of the Gods. Guan mentioned it to him before, and he was very excited like never before. Nearing evening, Guan found Luo Han and said he needed to return to Mystic Valley. Luo Han feared for his safety due to the many demons on the way, but Guan insisted on going back. Guan promised he would be careful. Luo Han thought for a while, then took out 10 talisman papers from his storage bag and said, These are for invisibility technique. Infuse them with spiritual power, and you can turn invisible, even hiding your presence. Unless encountered by a 3rd level or higher core formation realm cultivator, it will be hard to detect you. Each paper lasts for 5 hours, use them sparingly, as you need to return. Guan accepted the talismans and thanked him with cupped fists. Still worried, Luo Han said, How about establishing foundation first? I have foundation establishment pills here. Guan shook his head, I have my own foundation establishment pills. Don't worry about me. I remember the way back. I have plenty of spirit energy elixirs. With that, he left on his sword. Exiting Tianya Valley wasn't hindered by the array, but entering was challenging. Luo Han watched Gu An's departing figure, frowning slightly. He recalled His Majesty's words and sighed. Li Xiandao instructed that if Guan died, another person would become the Valley Master. Luo Han's task was to protect Tianya Valley. After leaving 100 miles from Tianya Valley, Guan suddenly sped up. Before nightfall, he had returned to Mystic Valley. Having Tianya Valley, Gu An's days would become busier. Managing the Outer Disciples' Cave needed his attention, and he had to occasionally check on Tianya Valley. He couldn't fully trust the monkeys. Though it would be tiring, Guan didn't feel exhausted at all. Instead, he was full of fighting spirit. In a few years, his lifespan would increase significantly. Once he obtained the Medicine Valley promised by Gu Zong, a million-year lifespan would not seem far away. Guan even pondered studying the puppetry technique, leaving a puppet in each Medicine Valley to help monitor the medicinal herbs. Before that, he had to improve his superficial cultivation level. The 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm was insufficient. Traveling between Mystic Valley and Tianya Valley would be very troublesome. 15 days later, Guan went to the outer sect to visit the book collection hall's Elder Lu. He felt Elder Lu had more power than Zhu Qinglu of the Elixir Hall. They met alone in the inner room. Elder Lu was reading the latest volume of Investiture of the Gods, smiling. Not bad, very well written. Just flipping through makes me excited. Guan hesitated before saying, Elder Lu, I have a request. Without looking up, Elder Lu asked, what is it? I want to establish foundation, but I don't want to be an outer disciple. I want to continue being the Valley Master of Mystic Valley. This way, it's easier for me to write. Going out on missions as an outer disciple, I'm afraid of dying outside, is that all? Can Elder Lu manage it? Of course. I will go directly to Guyu. He had told me that his father values you greatly and asked me to take good care of you and meet your needs as much as possible. Elder Lu laughed, his smile resembling a sly old fox. Guan immediately thanked him. Elder Lu put down the book and said, you are already considered a special talent of the Supreme Sect. Your annual yields are among the top 3 in the Outer Sect's Medicine Valleys. Moreover, you write Investiture of the Gods, attracting 50% more disciples to the Supreme Sect each year. Your contribution far surpasses that of an outer disciple's missions. Rest assured, even if you reach the core formation realm, you will not be sent out on missions. He laughed heartily after saying this. He couldn't reach the core formation realm. Could Guan? Guan felt relieved. This made things simpler. All he had to do was not appear too talented, gradually improving his apparent cultivation level, making future activities easier. Elder Lu seemed to remember something. Recently, the genius from Jueshan Sect, Zhou Tongyu, is coming to challenge the young cultivators under 100 years old in the Supreme Sect. It's likely to be very lively. You should gather some information for your next book, and remember to include the Supreme Sect in it. Investiture of the Gods was about finished. Elder Lu had received instructions from above. Guan nodded and curiously asked, is Zhou Tongyu very powerful? Of course. He has dual spirit roots and the evil-suppressing golden body, a physique nurtured by the Zhou family over thousands of years. He has no equal in the same realm. He once killed a 3rd-layer core formation realm cultivator with his 9th-layer foundation establishment realm cultivation, becoming renowned in the Taizong Immortal cultivation world as the strongest genius in a century. Elder Lu was full of admiration talking about Zhou Tongyu, narrating the battle in detail, and Guan listened attentively. To Guan, those who could defeat enemies across realms had the protagonist's fortune. After all, he couldn't do that, or rather, he didn't dare. Instead of defeating powerful enemies across realms, he preferred to crush weaker opponents with superior cultivation. An hour later, Guan left the book collection hall. After buying a batch of supplies in the city, he hurried back to Mystic Valley. The next morning, Guan gathered the disciples for exercises, announcing his success in Foundation establishment the previous night, delighting the disciples. Wuxin felt both joy and reluctance. If senior brother succeeded in Foundation establishment, he would have to go to the outer sect, and Wuxin would become the Valley Master. Master, does this mean you're leaving us? Zhen Qin quickly asked, looking pitiful. The other disciples anxiously looked at Guan. Wuxin suppressed his joyful feelings, also feigning a look of loss. Guan sighed, yes. The disciples' expressions instantly dimmed, and Wuxin's heart pounded with guilt. But the saddest was Xiaochuan, who would become the senior in the valley. But because of our good harvest, I applied to stay in Medicine Valley, and the outer sect agreed. Guan quickly added. The disciples were stunned for a moment, then cheered, rushing towards Guan. Wuxin stood there, dazed for a few seconds before forcing a smile. The happiest person was Xiaochuan, knowing that he had no hope of Foundation establishment. Having Guan for life was a delight, as only Guan indulged his interest in raising demons. Mystic Valley became lively, Wuxin needing a long time to calm his emotions. Guan noticed his mood and took him aside, explaining he would soon have a new Medicine Valley, and even if he remained in Mystic Valley, Wuxin could be in charge. Wuxin was excited to hold real authority as Valley Master. Seeing his enthusiastic smile, Guan thought again of Qing Xiandan and Zhang Chuanxiu. So much had changed. Days passed quickly. Guan went out every 2 days to manage the outer disciples' cave, and every half-month to check on Tianya Valley. Upon learning of Gu An's Foundation establishment, Luo Han became completely assured, ceasing his interruptions. Guan noticed Luo Han liked reading, so he brought him a Green Hero travelogue. Strangely, after that, Guan never saw Luo Han reading Green Hero travelogue. Did he not like it? No more books for him then. But why wasn't he reading Investiture of the Gods either? Chapter 52, The Civil War. Third Medicine Valley. Winter passed and spring came. Another year of the Spring Festival was approaching. Mystic Valley welcomed the Spring Festival, with disciples busy preparing. Guan was holding a white spirit rat, patrolling the different courtyards. The white spirit rat enjoyed being held by him, its eyes closed as if it were asleep. A whistling sound came from the horizon. Guan turned his head and smiled. Yilan was back. She quickly landed beside Guan, storing her flying sword in her storage bag. She smiled charmingly. Senior brother, I came back for the festival. You wouldn't be unwelcome, would you? Guan looked at her and smiled, asking, isn't the law enforcement hall busy? No matter how busy, I can always spare a few days. Proper relaxation is more conducive to cultivation. You said that, and I've always remembered. Yilan blinked and said playfully. After a few words of greeting, Yilan pulled Guan towards the pavilion. As they walked, she said, Senior brother, let's go to your room first. I'll show you a treasure. A treasure? Guan put the white spirit rat down and followed Yilan. As they climbed up to the pavilion and entered the room, Yilan didn't close the door, which made Guan breathe a sigh of relief. Yilan walked to the table and took a brocade box out of her storage bag. She turned sideways and looked at Guan with a proud smile. Senior brother, this is a Foundation establishment gift I specially prepared for you. Why go to such trouble? When you reached Foundation establishment, I didn't give a gift. Without your Foundation establishment pill, could I have achieved Foundation establishment? I'm not like those geniuses who can force Foundation establishment with their spirit root qualification. Yilan shook her head and laughed. Hearing this, Guan did not decline further. He walked to her side, curiously looking at the brocade box. Yilan opened the brocade box. Inside was a herb root that looked like ginseng. If not carefully sensed, it was hard to detect the faint spiritual energy within. Human face tree, revival state 0/600/22,000, 22,000 years of maximum lifespan? Guan raised his eyebrows. It was the first time he saw the words revival state. Yilan introduced, this is the root of a 6th-grade spirit tree. Once buried in the ground for several years, it can regrow and enhance the spiritual energy of the area. Guan curiously asked, such a precious treasure, where did you get it? Yilan blinked and said, recently, while capturing demon path traders, I found it in the cave of a trader from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I didn't report it. Isn't that improper? Don't worry. Other disciples of the Law Enforcement Hall also keep some items. It's tacitly approved as long as they don't take too much, and no one knows about this treasure. Hearing this, Guan felt less burdened. He thought for a moment and said, if you need any medicinal herbs, feel free to tell me. I'll soon have a second Medicine Valley. We can help each other in the future. Yilan smiled, sure, I'll go find others now. I brought gifts for them too. Guan nodded, and Yilan immediately left. He looked at the brocade box on the table, pondering where to plant it. Thinking it over, he decided to keep it for the third Medicine Valley. The new valley needed enhanced spiritual energy for faster herb growth. Mystic Valley already had its own rhythm and didn't need a spirit tree, and Tianya Valley was not his to supply with seeds. Since Tianya Valley was Li Zuando's Medicine Valley, he only had management rights there. For any needs in Tianya Valley, he could fully rely on Li Xiandao. Guan then put the brocade box into his storage bag and walked to his desk, picking up a pen to start writing on paper. Yilan's arrival made the atmosphere in Mystic Valley even better. As night fell, various spring festival activities began, bustling with excitement. When everyone sat down to drink, Zhenqin asked Yilan to talk about the experiences of outer disciples performing missions. Yilan did not refuse. Besides guarding the outer sect, Law Enforcement Hall disciples also went out for training. Yilan was no exception. The mission we received was an exorcism task in a mountain town. Nearly 1,000 households there had all died within a few days. To prevent the evil entity from harming more people, the local government sought help from the Supreme Sect. There were 7 of us, Yilan vividly recounted the experience. Being nighttime, the disciples listened with great tension. The female disciples huddled together. Seeing the young girl who used to follow him everywhere now able to stand on her own, the smile on Gu An's face never faded. When Yilan described the ghosts, the disciples' hearts were in their throats, even Xiaochuan, Wuxin, and Su Han were very tense. It was late at night when the disciples finally dispersed. Yilan followed Guan back to the pavilion. Guan took out a secret book he had written and handed it to her, saying, "This is a leg technique secret book I found in the inner sect. You can practice it when you're free." Gale's shadowless leg. Yilan took the secret book without opening it and put it into her storage bag. She looked at Guan and said, "Senior brother, be careful when dealing with Lu Jiujia in the future." "What happened to him?" Guan asked, puzzled. Yilan sighed, "Didn't we talk before about the internal strife in the Supreme Sect? Those opposing the sect leader are secretly recruiting disciples. Lu Jiujia has taken an elder from the outer sect Hall of Elders as his master. That elder serves the sect leader's adversaries. Over time, a great chaos is bound to erupt within the Supreme Sect." "I haven't written the final volume of Investiture of the Gods yet," Guan said. Guyu, disappointed, walked to the table and sat down, taking out a stack of books and a token from his storage bag. "This is your Valley Master token. Your Medicine Valley is between the outer sect and the inner sect, less than 100 miles from the outer city. For someone in the Foundation establishment realm like you, it's not a hassle to travel back and forth. These books are my father's life experiences written down. You can refer to them. My father said you don't have to stick to the facts, you can adapt them or even create stories based on his experiences." Guyu explained, with a playful look, hinting at Guan with his eyes. Guan placed the teacup in front of him and picked up the Valley Master token. Unlike the bronze token of Mystic Valley, this token was silver-white with several layers of restrictions within it. "It'll take you to the Medicine Valley later. If you get lost, just inject your divine sense into the token, and it will guide you." Guyu drank a cup of tea and continued speaking. Guan nodded eagerly, excited to see his new Medicine Valley. Guyu seemed to remember something and said, "Oh, when you write about me, include Zhou Tongyu. Write that he is the strongest genius of the young generation in the immortal cultivation world, but he especially admires me and follows my lead. Gu An's face twitched. That's not appropriate. I'm afraid writing that will cause trouble. Whatever you want, just ask, and they'll satisfy you. It's not about the price. 100 top-grade spirit stones. If he sees it, he'll definitely investigate me. 1,000 top-grade spirit stones. This is all my savings. How about a homophone? Upon hearing this, Gu raised an eyebrow. Sure, but you can only change one character. Deal. Guan agreed but wouldn't slander Zhou Tongyu in the book. He considered making them rivals who admire each other, ensuring not to offend either party. He could tell Gu didn't harbor true enmity towards Zhou Tongyu. Otherwise, he would depict Zhou Tongyu as a small minion, not praise him as the strongest genius. Gu probably just felt jealous. Making them brothers who occasionally competed would likely please Gu. After a short rest, the two set off, controlling their swords to leave Mystic Valley. Chapter 53 So-Called Perception, Gu An's Fury. At sunset, the sun dipped in the west. Guan stood on the cliff, looking over the Medicine Valley ahead, a satisfied expression on his face. Ahead were several not-so-high mountains, with a vast valley between them, extending for a dozen miles in length and 2 or 3 miles in width. The edges of the Medicine Valley were lined with rows of trees, resembling a natural barrier, shielding the valley from wind and waves. Standing next to him, Gu said, "There are cave dwellings of inner sect disciples nearby, more than one in number. As long as you don't leave the 100-mile radius, you won't encounter any demon beasts." Guan nodded, his eyes filled with anticipation. What he saw was not the Medicine Valley, but an unending number of lifespans. Gu patted Guan on the shoulder and then flew away on his sword. Guan leaped towards the Medicine Valley, his limbs surrounded by visible wind waves, which was precisely the wind control skill. Looking back as he stepped on his flying sword, Gu raised an eyebrow slightly, a trace of surprise in his eyes, but he did not turn back. After landing, Guan first walked to the entrance of the valley, where there stood a bare stele with no inscriptions. He used his finger as a sword, inscribing 4 characters with sword chi. Third Medicine Valley. The name was so simple because he planned to have many more Medicine Valleys in the future. Looking at his own handwriting, Guan was very pleased. To write books regularly, he had practiced writing a lot, and his handwriting now carried a sharpness and vigor. After admiring his writing for a while, Guan began to look for a place to build a pavilion. He intended to set up the teleportation array first. Dusk eventually passed, and night gradually fell. By the bonfire, Guan sat on a rock, flipping through a book in his hand. This was given by Ji Xiaoyu, containing instructions on how to set up the teleportation array she had provided. One had to admit, the development of immortal cultivation in this world was indeed strong. Reading this book felt like reading a manual, and it was even a simplified version. The teleportation array given by Ji Xiaoyu already had restrictions set up. He only needed to build it according to the sequence in the book. Guan planned to stay up all night to build the array platform. Once the teleportation array was successfully set up, he would lead a few disciples to come and plant seeds. Starting the teleportation array required spirit stones, and he was quite wealthy now. Not to mention the spirit stone income from the investiture of the gods, Gu had just given him 1,000 top-grade spirit stones, enough for him to squander for a long time. After a night, Guan successfully set up the teleportation array platform and immediately flew away on his sword. Returning to Mystic Valley, he set up a teleportation array platform beside his pavilion. His activities attracted all the disciples to come and watch. Xiaochuan asked what he was doing, and he did not hide it. Hearing that Guan was about to take over another Medicine Valley and set up a teleportation array, all the disciples became interested and asked one after another. Guan answered them while setting up the array platform. By noon, Guan had successfully set it up. In front of everyone, he placed spirit stones into the grooves on the array pillars, and after placing them correctly, he infused spiritual power into the activation mechanism. Rumble, the teleportation array started, the ground slightly trembled, and on the array platform, 2 array pillars burst with strong light, converging to form a light curtain. Guan turned around, scanning the crowd, and said, "Wuxin, go to the outer sect and recruit 3 servant disciples. Su Han, Jin Qin, Yi Yan, come with me. The others stay in Mystic Valley." Hearing this, Jin Qin and the other 2 excitedly stepped forward and followed Guan into the teleportation array. Not long after, the teleportation light curtain dissipated, and the array platform returned to calm. On the other side, in the third Medicine Valley, Guan started instructing the 3 disciples to weed, while he focused on building the rooms. Su Han used a sword, Yi Yan used a spear, and Jin Qin used leg techniques to weed. Since Luo Han had taught Yi Yan a spear technique, he couldn't help but ask Guan for an iron spear. This spear, which Guan bought from the outer sect, was not an ordinary iron spear. It could withstand spiritual power and could be considered the lowest grade magic artifact. Guan was not interested in spear techniques, so he did not watch Yi Yan practice. Since he started practicing the spear, Yi Yan's strength improved rapidly. Guan first saw a true genius in Mystic Valley. Yi Yan's cultivation level still improved slowly, but his actual combat power rose quickly. After just 6 months of practicing the spear, both Tang Yu and Su Han combined were no match for him, which greatly discouraged the 2. This made Guan think about his own comprehension. Comprehension was the only thing that couldn't be directly enhanced by lifespan. In this world, it seemed spirit root qualification wasn't everything. The reason Guan asked Su Han, Jin Qin, and Yi Yan to come was partly to guide them. During the Qiu Qinli disaster, their performance had earned his favor. He decided to cultivate them well and help them go further. The third Medicine Valley was situated between the inner and outer sects. The spiritual energy here was more abundant and could help them cultivate. Occasionally, Guan could also give them special lessons. The 3 had the kind of character that could endure hardship. Before completing the weeding task, they did not rest, even secretly competing to see who could work faster. After they weeded out all the weeds, Guan had already built 4 pavilions. The 4 gathered in front of the buildings to rest. Su Han looked at Yi Yan with a hint of defiance in his eyes. Yi Yan, however, was much calmer. Since he started practicing the spear, he had become more reserved. While wiping her sweat, Jin Qin asked Guan, "Master, this place is so big, just the 3 of us, is it enough?" "Of course, it's enough. Back then, I managed Mystic Valley alone, while your martial uncle Meng Lang and martial uncle Li lazed around all day," Guan said with a light laugh. Looking back at those little conflicts from the past, he found them amusing, though unfortunately, old friends were no longer around. After listening, Jin Qin asked more about Gu An's past. Su Han and Yi Yan also listened intently, as they all respected Guan greatly. Yi Yan's spear technique wasn't taught by Guan, but he still felt indebted to his master. If not for his master, how would that mysterious cultivator have come to Mystic Valley and bestowed the spear technique upon him? After talking for an hour, they continued to work. 3 days later, the third Medicine Valley was already filled with medicinal herb seeds, though it still looked like barren land. After all, seeds needed time to sprout and grow. Guan led them back to Mystic Valley to pack their belongings and then had them move to the third Medicine Valley. The remaining servant disciples were very curious about this, and some wanted to go to the third Medicine Valley but were suppressed by Wuxin. As the Valley Master of Mystic Valley, Wuxin couldn't let people run away. Mystic Valley was his foundation. Thus, Gu An's 3-sided Medicine Valley began to operate, and the idyllic farming life started from there. A month after the third Medicine Valley was seeded, with Jin Qin and the other 2 guarding the valley, Guan only occasionally came to check. They needed to spend only a little time each day inspecting various areas, the rest of the time was devoted to cultivation. As evening approached, the sky turned crimson. Jin Qin walked out of the house, stretched lazily, looking radiant. Jiang Qiong's cultivation technique had greatly enhanced her cultivation level, far surpassing before, so her enthusiasm for cultivation had reached its peak. She turned her head and saw Yi Yan still practicing his spear on the hillside at the entrance of the valley. Not absorbing energy, just practicing the spear, of what use? Zhen Qin muttered to herself. She did not go to join the fun but instead went to check on each area during her break. They all were the fruits of her master's hard work. On the other side, Yi Yan practiced his spear under the sunset glow, sweat falling like rain. Even though his entire body ached, he did not stop. The spear technique he practiced was his only chance. He did not want to miss it, nor did he want to be a servant disciple for life. The spiritual energy is more abundant in the valley, why not practice the spear inside? A voice came, startling Yi Yan, who turned his head to look. He saw a figure standing in the forest 10 feet away, the figure standing atop a tree, blue robes flowing in the wind, displaying an immortal's demeanor. When had he appeared? Yi Yan was secretly alarmed. He collected himself and looked towards the person, loudly asking, "Senior, what business do you have?" Guan had said that this was already inner sect territory. Any cultivator encountered must be addressed as senior, showing no disrespect. The man in blue wasn't particularly handsome, but his eyes were bright and penetrating, making it difficult to meet his gaze. "Just passing by, I saw you practicing your spear. This spear technique of yours is not simple, it includes an energy absorption and body tempering method, quite rare." Zhou Tongyu leapt from the tree and walked towards Yi Yan. Seeing him approach, Yi Yan became nervous, unsure of how to handle the situation with his master not in the valley. "You haven't answered me yet," Zhou Tongyu reminded, his tone calm, but the more he spoke this way, the greater pressure Yi Yan felt. Yi Yan gritted his teeth and answered, "Behind is my master's medicine valley, the seeds were sown just a month ago. I don't want my cultivation to affect the growth of the medicinal herbs." "Was this spear technique taught by your master?" "No, it was a friend of my master's." "To know such a friend, your master must not be simple. May I ask your master's name?" "My master is named Guan." While answering, Yi Yan was puzzled as to what the other was exactly aiming for. Zhou Tongyu stopped and beckoned with a hand, saying, "How about a spar? I won't use spiritual power or magic artifacts, just techniques." "How about it?" Yi Yan frowned, hesitating. "Are you afraid?" Zhou Tongji's words stirred Yi Yan's fighting spirit. He hadn't feared even the great cultivators of the demon path back then, how could he fear this person? At noon, Guan arrived at the third medicine valley through the teleportation array. He first scanned all areas with his divine sense, and seeing no issues, he looked for his disciples. Quickly, he was drawn to Yi Yan practicing at the entrance of the valley. He walked over, and Yi Yan, noticing his approach, turned his back to him. "Yener, how did you get injured?" Guan asked upon arriving. Yi Yan hesitated for a moment before choosing to look at Guan, showing a face covered in bruises, even with a handprint on his left cheek. He recounted what happened the previous evening to Guan, who became furious upon hearing it. Someone dared to bully his disciple. "What is his name? Will he come again?" "I don't know. He didn't say. He only mentioned that he would come looking for me again when he had time." "Don't worry, Master has your back." Guan patted Yi Yan on the shoulder and then gave him some healing pills. In the following days, Guan stayed in the third medicine valley, but the one who beat Yi Yan never showed up. However, after Guan went to the outer sect to manage his cave and returned, he found that Yi Yan had been beaten again. The person struck and then left. This happened repeatedly over the next 2 months, with Yi Yan getting beaten 4 times, always when Guan was absent. Guan began to suspect the other was deliberately avoiding him. One noon, Guan was reading under a tree, with a slope below connecting to the valley entrance, where Yi Yan was seen practicing his spear. Suddenly, Guan sensed something, his eyebrow twitched, thinking, "Finally, he has come." Chapter 54, Your Sword is Quick. Under Gu An's watchful eyes, a figure flew swiftly and landed in front of Yi Yan. Seeing him, Yi Yan instantly became nervous and even took 2 steps back. Zhou Tongyu, Core Formation Realm 9 Layers 62/900/3100, it turned out to be him. Guan didn't expect to encounter Zhou Tongyu, who had recently made a name for himself in the Supreme Sect. Zhou Tongyu had been challenging and defeating the young disciples everywhere, earning a reputation that even extended to the outer sect. Because the Daotian sect, which Zhou Tongyu belonged to, was also a reputable sect and had a good relationship with the Supreme Sect, the great cultivators of the Supreme Sect couldn't target him specifically. Consequently, Zhou Tongyu roamed freely in the Supreme Sect for half a year without anyone being able to punish him. Zhou Tongyu only engaged in combat and did not kill anyone. Moreover, he claimed only to challenge those under the age of 100. The many cultivators of the Supreme Sect could only watch and feel secretly angry. The entire Supreme Sect was being suppressed by Zhou Tongyu. No one dared to question his rules. After all, his opponents were under 100 years old, but he still had 38 years to reach 100. When he challenged the 99-year-old disciples of the Supreme Sect, it was actually making the Supreme Sect seem at an advantage. Even so, no one could defeat him. Zhou Tongyu glanced at Guan on the nearby hillside, his expression calm. Guan put the book in his bosom, then stood up and walked down. He came between Zhou Tongyu and Yi Yan, turned to look at Zhou Tongyu, clasped his fist, and said, "I am Guan, Yi Yan's master. May I know how my disciple has offended you, senior?" Yi Yan looked at Guan standing in front of him and felt deeply moved. Guan had previously mentioned that the cultivators here were all inner sect disciples, implying they were of core formation realm cultivation. For Guan, who was only at the first layer of the foundation establishment realm, to stand up to a core formation realm cultivator on his behalf, how could Yi Yan not be moved? "You are his master? Your cultivation disappoints me." Zhou Tongyu scrutinized Guan, frowning. Guan replied, "My disciple is only at the Qi cultivation realm. As his master, how high can my cultivation be?" Zhou Tongyu snorted, "I did not bully your disciple, I see potential in him." At these words, Yi Yan's face turned green, wanting to speak but holding back. Guan stared at him and said, "If you intend to guide him, you can be straightforward. My disciple can remember your kindness, but you didn't say, and you struck hard. Perhaps you genuinely wanted to guide him, but in your heart, you must look down on him, so you didn't bother to explain." If Zhou Tongyu were the top genius of the Supreme Sect, Guan might have considered it more, but he wasn't. Guan did not want to provoke Zhou Tongyu for no reason, but if Zhou Tongyu bullied him, he would not be merciful. Zhou Tongyu frowned even more upon hearing Guan's words. He wanted to refute, but he understood that Guan saw through him. He did look down on Yi Yan somewhat and only guided him on a whim. It seems you're here to question me. Very well, same rules, no use of spiritual power, just techniques. If you can defeat me, I will apologize to your disciple and give him a complete body refining sorcery. How's that?" Zhou Tongyu said coldly, staring at Guan, "Master, let it go." Yi Yan hurriedly said, he knew Zhou Tongju's strength best, even in techniques, was unfathomable. Guan asked, "Only techniques?" "Correct." Seeing Guan interested, Zhou Tongyu grinned, though somewhat sinisterly. Guan frowned and said, "If you lose, you can't mention losing to me, and don't come to pester me and my disciple again." "Heh, want to compare techniques with me?" Zhou Tongyu laughed and said, "Agreed, now take your weapon." Guan raised his right hand, summoned a tree branch from the forest, and held it like a sword. His left hand gestured towards Zhou Tongyu. Zhou Tongyu immediately walked towards Guan. The distance between them began to shorten. Yi Yan hurriedly stepped aside, afraid of hindering his master. When they were less than 7 steps apart, Zhou Tongyu suddenly accelerated, stepping in front of Guan, punching towards Guan's abdomen with his right hand. Though he did not use spiritual power, this punch roared like tigers and leopards. Even before his fist reached Guan, Guan felt a fierce force surging towards him. Whoosh! Zhou Tongju's fist stopped, his pupils trembled violently, and he looked shocked. Yi Yan's eyes widened, unable to believe what he was seeing. Gu An's body slightly leaned back, the tree branch in his hand pressed against Zhou Tongji's throat, while Zhou Tongji's fist was still 2 feet away from Guan. If I had a real sword, would it have hurt you? Guan asked calmly, making Zhou Tongji's expression change. After a few moments, Zhou Tongyu withdrew his fist, followed by Guan retracting his sword. Zhou Tongyu took a deep breath, looked at Yi Yan, and said, "Sorry, I was too much." He took out a secret book from his storage bag and threw it to Yi Yan, then looked at Guan again. "Your sword is fast, who exactly are you?" Guan threw the tree branch into the forest and said calmly, "I am just a cultivator with mediocre spirit root qualification, not fond of energy absorption, and I practice sword techniques daily. Though my techniques aren't exquisite, they are fast enough. Without the rules, I wouldn't be your match." If Zhou Tongyu hadn't kept his promise, Guan would have made him regret it. Now that he kept his word and apologized to a servant disciple, Gu An's view of him changed. This person was proud but not inherently bad. Hearing this, Zhou Tongji's expression changed. He bit his lip and asked, "You really won't spread today's events? I don't even know your name, how could I?" Guan retorted. Zhou Tongyu let out a sigh of relief, immediately cupped his fists to Guan, and then departed swiftly, faster than when he arrived. Yi Yan came over excitedly, "Master, I didn't expect your sword to be so fast. You defeated him with just one move." Guan glanced at the valley, where Zhenqin was absorbing energy in the house, and Su Han was practicing sword techniques in the forest miles away. Neither had noticed the earlier contest. "Don't mention this to anyone, let this be our secret. Don't even tell your senior brothers or sisters," Guan instructed Yi Yan. Yi Yan nodded vigorously, feeling closer to his master. Teaching Zhou Tongyu a lesson was just a small episode for Guan. After that, he could go out peacefully without guarding the Third Medicine Valley. However, a month later, returning to the Third Medicine Valley, Guan saw Zhou Tongyu at the entrance of the valley. Yi Yan was practicing spear techniques, while Zhou Tongyu watched from the side. Noticing Gu An's gaze, Zhou Tongyu beamed and waved enthusiastically. Gu An's eyes showed displeasure as he immediately walked over. Reaching the valley entrance, Guan frowned, "Why are you back? Is this guy sticking to the Supreme Sect? I thought of a way to break your sword technique, let's spar again." Zhou Tongyu said excitedly. "You promised not to pester me." "Liar. It's not pestering, name your terms." "I just want to test your sword technique," Zhou Tongyu quickly explained. Yi Yan chimed in, "Master, he's been waiting here for 4 days." Guan frowned, hesitating. Zhou Tongyu pulled out a small cloth bag from his storage bag and said, "Here are seeds of 4th-grade medicinal herbs. All for you. Just spar with me. I'm not here for victory, but to learn from you." Guan took the bag, weighed it, and sighed, "Just this once. Never again, I swear." Zhou Tongyu said excitedly, thinking he must defeat Guan this time convincingly. He took out a sword from his storage bag and tossed it to Guan. "This is a mid-grade flying sword, ideal for Foundation Establishment realm cultivators. It's yours, use it to fight me." Then, he himself took out a long spear. Impressive move. A longer weapon equals a stronger one? Guan held the flying sword, feeling helplessly amused. Zhou Tongyu looked a bit uneasy under Gu An's gaze and quickly explained, "Same rules, no spiritual power, just techniques. Let's begin." This time, Zhenqin and Su Han also heard the commotion and hurried over. But before they reached the valley entrance, Guan made his move. He threw the flying sword directly at Zhou Tongyu. Zhou Tongji's pupils dilated, thinking it was fast. No, his strength is tremendous. Zhou Tongyu dodged sideways, followed by thrusting his spear forward as he saw Guan following the flying sword. In a flash, Guan tilted his head, grabbed the spear shaft with his left hand, pulled it back, and with his right hand, made a sword gesture, pointing at Zhou Tongyu. Everything happened so fast that Yi Yen couldn't keep up with his eyes. When they stopped, Gu An's fingers were already at Zhou Tongji's Adam's apple. Zhou Tongyu still held his spear, but his body had stiffened. How are you so fast? Are you really at the first layer of the Foundation Establishment realm? Zhou Tongyu asked through gritted teeth, sweating. Guan replied, if spiritual power was used, you'd be faster. Your rules gave me an advantage. I'm no match for you. Why insist on beating me with such rules? We common cultivators have our pride too. He let go of his hands. Zhou Tongji's face turned red, and he gritted his teeth. I meant no insult to your pride. Farewell. He left hurriedly. Zhen Qin and Su Han arrived. Guan ignored them, picked up the flying sword, and walked into the valley. To the three disciples, his back radiated the aura of a master. A month later, Zhou Tongyu returned, this time bringing more medicinal herb seeds, and Guan reluctantly accepted. This time, Guan defeated him in 3 moves, frustrating Zhou Tongyu but leaving a glimmer of hope. Zhou Tongji's generosity made Guan reluctant to drive him away. Time flew, year-end approached. Winter snow covered Tianya Valley. Guan patrolled the Medicine Valley with 3 monkey demons. After checking, he walked towards the loft, glancing at his lifespan. Although busy with planting this year, his lifespan grew steadily. With the outer sect disciples' chambers and Mystic Valley, he gained considerable lifespan. In a few years, when Tianya Valley and the 3rd Medicine Valley yielded harvests, his lifespan would soar. Just as Guan reached the loft, Luo Han approached, looking embarrassed and hesitant. Where is your book recently? You want to read? I thought you didn't like it. The Medicine Valley is boring, one needs something to relax the Daoist heart. Alright, next time they'll bring the latest volume of Investiture of the Gods. Cough, cough, a few volumes of Green Hero Travelogue would be nice too. Chapter 55, Supreme Immortal Venerable, Sect Leader Deposed. Seeing Luo Han's embarrassed expression, Guan suddenly realized, so this guy likes this. He should have said so earlier. Guan immediately patted Luo Han's shoulder and smiled. Brother Luo, I didn't expect your taste to be the same as mine. To be honest, compared to the battles and conflicts over Daoist traditions in the Investiture of the Gods, I prefer the calm interactions between people and the experience of traveling and enjoying the scenery. Those are what truly temper the Daoist heart. His words made Luo Han less embarrassed, and a smile appeared on his face. The two began to have an enjoyable conversation about the Green Hero Travelogue, bringing them closer together. However, Luo Han was still reserved and refrained from discussing the romantic aspects of the Green Hero Travelogue, only talking about the fascinating landscapes and peculiar news. Teasing the serious Luo Han brought Guan a lot of joy. From now on, Tianya Valley would not be so dull. Time flew by, and 3 years passed swiftly. Another summer arrived. Guan was already 38 years old. Starting this year, the 3rd Medicine Valley would welcome its first batch of mature medicinal herbs, which he eagerly anticipated. As for Tianya Valley, they were cultivating high-rank medical herbs, so it would still take some time. That morning, Guan was leading the disciples in the Mystic Valley for their morning exercises. Although Zhen Qin and the other 2 had gone to the 3rd Medicine Valley, 3 new servant disciples had arrived, keeping Mystic Valley lively. While Guan was twisting his waist, he suddenly sensed something and smiled. Xiaochuan noticed his smile and couldn't help but ask, Senior brother, why are you smiling? Nothing, just keep practicing. Guan brushed him off, and Xiaochuan stopped asking. After a while, the exercises ended, and the disciples dispersed while Guan walked towards his own tower. Just as he reached downstairs, he heard a sound breaking through the air from afar. He turned and saw someone flying towards him on a sword. It was Li Ya. After many years, Li Ya still wore a black robe, but his temperament had changed, and a lock of white hair added to his sense of experience. From a distance, Li Ya saw Guan, and a smile appeared on his usually stern face, melting his cold demeanor. Li Ya's cultivation level had reached the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, and Guan felt that he was even stronger than Ji Lin from back then, estimating that he wasn't far from the core formation. After landing, Li Ya opened his arms and hugged Guan, making his body a bit stiff. Not bad, you've reached Foundation Establishment. It seems you've worked hard, Li Ya said, pinching Guan's shoulder with a satisfied smile. Guan naturally freed himself from his grasp and smiled. You're finally back. Was everything smooth? Li Ya shook his head and said, not smooth, but it was a blessing in disguise. Let's go inside and talk. Guan nodded and led him upstairs. An hour later. In the loft, Guan and Li Ya sat facing each other, drinking wine, and listening to Li Ya's experiences over the years made Guan feel deeply moved. It feels like it could be written into a book, Guan commented. Li Ya laughed, indeed, although I escaped death many times, it made me who I am today. Over the years, Li Ya had traveled south in search of the legacy of a divinity transformation cultivator, competing with various geniuses. After barely making it through, the divinity transformation cultivator tried to possess him, but fortunately, he survived. Although he didn't say how he avoided the possession, Guan assumed it was related to the soul within him. After escaping the divinity transformation calamity, Li Ya acquired a sword intent in the cave of that cultivator. He spent 3 years refining it, transforming his entire sword intent. Afterwards, when returning from Jizhou in the south, he encountered more obstacles, such as saving a woman oppressed by a local prominent family. Unfortunately, after he left, he heard that she and her family were forced to death. This tragic incident spread widely among the people, so he returned and slaughtered that family, sparking much debate in that region. The local authorities chased Li Ya for a few days before giving up, even withdrawing the bounty on him. When Li Ya spoke of this experience, his tone wasn't very sad, just a bit cold. Guan poured Li Ya another drink, and Li Ya suddenly asked, Junior brother Gu, why do you think we cultivate immortality? Is it just to pursue the illusory longevity? Throughout history, has there ever been someone who truly attained immortality? Hearing this, Guan poured himself a drink and said, I don't know what immortal cultivators should ultimately pursue. I only know that while living, you should feel at ease. Whatever makes you feel at ease, do it. I plant flowers and herbs every day. To many, it seems like wasting the years of cultivation, but I find it interesting. The medicinal herbs I plant can help the sect, and isn't that somewhat meaningful? He didn't find Li Ya hypocritical. After experiencing certain things, one would naturally feel confused. After hearing this, Li Ya held his cup, lost in thought. He thought for an hour. Guan didn't disturb him, instead pulling out the Green Hero Travelogue to read. After finishing his thoughts, Li Ya's eyes became bright. He looked at Guan and said, Great truths are never found in temples, Junior brother Gu. Thank you, I think I know what to do now. He stood up and took out a white jade bottle from his storage bag, saying, This is an elixir made from 1,000-year-old spirit fat. It can temper the muscles and bones but should be taken no more than twice a year. I must return to form my core now. Before Guan could stop him, he jumped out of the window and left. Guan fell silent. Why did this guy love jumping out of windows? His gaze turned to the white jade bottle on the table. Why does everyone love giving him gifts? Guan looked helpless but still put the bottle into his storage bag. The summer evenings came late. Guan arrived at the 3rd Medicine Valley. As soon as he stepped off the teleportation array, he saw Jinqin, Su Han, Yi Yan, and Zhou Tongyu happily chatting in a nearby pavilion. Guan immediately walked over. In the middle of an animated discussion, Zhou Tongyu noticed Guan and smiled. The others followed his gaze and quickly stood up. At the pavilion, Guan asked with a bit of annoyance, Why are you here again? Haven't you emptied your storage bag yet? 3 years had passed, and Zhou Tongyu had visited no less than 10 times, each time bringing medicinal herbs, elixirs, and magic artifacts. The last time they sparred, Guan barely beat him in 10 moves, winning unconvincingly. Well, his acting was unconvincing too. Zhou Tongyu laughed, Don't worry, this time I'm not here to spar but to say goodbye. I'm leaving. I've been at the Supreme Sect for many years, and you're the one friend I've truly made, and I acknowledge you. Friend? Guan didn't know how to respond. Yi Yan looked at Zhou Tongyu with some reluctance. Over the years, Zhou Tongyu had guided him in his cultivation each time he visited, almost like a half-master. What do you mean by being here for many years? Are you not a disciple of the Supreme Sect? Zhen Qin asked in surprise, her eyes wide. Su Han and Yi Yan's expressions also changed dramatically. They all had the same thought in their minds. Could this person be a spy from the demon path? Zhou Tongyu smiled in pride. Forget it, I wanted to keep a low profile to avoid pressure on you. Now that I'm leaving, they'll stop pretending. I'm Zhou Tongyu from Jueshan Sect. Upon hearing this, Zhen Qin and the others were stunned, which made Zhou Tongyu feel even more pleased. He even raised his chin and looked at Guan, anticipating a shocked expression. Gu An's expression drastically changed, making Zhou Tongji's mood soar. However, Zhen Qin suddenly asked sharply, "Are you famous?" Zhou Tongji's pupils slowly dilated, and he stood frozen. Guan worried he might change his mind and want to stay, so he said, "Indeed, very famous," suppressing the entire younger generation of the Supreme Sect. Didn't expect this. Forgive me. Upon hearing this, Zhou Tongji's expression relaxed, and Zhen Qin and the others, following Gu An's cue, began exclaiming in surprise. My heavens! Did I hear it wrong? It's actually you, how could it be? Zhou Tongji's face twitched. For some reason, their words felt harsh to him. He took a deep breath and said, "Your Supreme Sect is about to undergo major changes. Be careful, take care. If fate allows, we will meet again." Having said that, he leaped and transformed into a light beam, flying towards the sky. The three disciples were stunned by his movement technique and watched in a daze as he left. Guan waved his hand and said, "Disperse now, practice well, and form your foundation establishment soon, so you won't be unworthy of meeting him again." The three promptly paid respects and left. Guan pondered Zhou Tongji's words, major changes in the Supreme Sect. He hoped it wouldn't affect his Medicine Valley. Turning around, he headed towards his tower. After entering the room, he closed the door, walked to the desk, and took out a pen and paper, beginning to draft Gu Zong and his son's book. The final volume of Investiture of the Gods had already been sent to the book collection hall. Next, it was time to write a new book. After the Investiture of the Gods, the next obvious choice was Journey to the West, but he feared its impact might be too significant, so he decided to set it aside for now and write a novel about Gu Zong and his son to cool things down, making Panon look less like an immortal reincarnate. Recently, the Outer Sect disciples had praised Panon as if he were an immortal incarnate, making Guan uneasy. He planned to use classic web novel plots from his previous life for the second book. Gu Zong had cultivated for 500 years, renowned in the immortal cultivation world, and was the Supreme Sect's strongest elder. In the year his Daoist friend gave birth to a son, the demon path invaded, and the Supreme Sect faced annihilation. Gu Zong used his divine skills to call upon the powers of heaven and earth, wiping out the demon path, but he fell into a space rift caused by his divine skills. The world believed him dead, not knowing that he had landed on a deserted island overseas, where he accidentally discovered an immortal's legacy. 20 years later, Gu Zong returned to find his son, Gu Yu, demoted to a servant disciple because someone had taken his heavenly spirit root. Zhou Tongyu was the same age as Gu Yu, and the two had been close since childhood. Even after Gu Yu's demotion, Zhou Tongyu looked forward to his rise. Over the subsequent centuries of enmity, they became the pillars of the Supreme Sect, protecting the peace of the immortal cultivation world. After pondering, Gu An's eyes sparkled. He began writing. Chapter 1, The Fallen Genius. The year after Zhou Tongyu left, in the spring, Guan went to the Outer Sect to submit his manuscript. Lu Chang was very interested in his Supreme Immortal Venerable and chatted with him for a long time. Upon leaving the book collection hall, Guan overheard disciples discussing that the sect leader, L.V. Badian, had suffered a deviation during cultivation and had fallen, with Elder Chu Tianqi taking over as sect leader. Guan was shocked. The sect leader had been killed? He quickly left the outer gates city and headed for the third Medicine Valley. Upon entering the valley, he saw Guyu waiting, with an elderly man with a hunched back standing behind him. The old man was thin, with white hair, wearing tattered clothes, and was scanning all the gardens. Seeing Guan flying in on his sword, Guyu smiled and stood up, saying, "You finally returned. This is an old relative of my father. You can call him Elder Tian. His spirit root qualification is poor, destined never to reach foundation establishment. He will stay in the Medicine Valley and assist you, so feel free to give him any task." Gu An's eyes turned to the old man, his expression changing slightly. L.V. Badian, Energy Cultivation Realm 6th Layer 742/850/3200. Chapter 56 Heavenly Destiny returns to G. L.V. Badian. Isn't that the recently deceased sect leader? Guan speculated many possibilities, but his expression did not change much. He curiously asked, "Since he is your father's distant relative, why not arrange a better place for him? This Medicine Valley is dirty and tiring." Guyu smiled and said, "The Supreme Sect wasn't built by my father, and being placed in this Medicine Valley is already better than the Medicine Valley in the outer sect." From his demeanor, it seemed that he didn't know Elder Tian's true identity. Guan found it difficult to refuse directly. Refusing would mean he knew Elder Tian's true identity. Guyu pulled Guan upstairs, and throughout, Elder Tian did not look back at Guan even once. After entering the room, Guyu closed the door. He turned around excitedly and asked, "How is it? The book should be ready, right?" Guan smiled and said, "It's ready. After deep consideration, I made you the protagonist." "Really? Really, you'll be able to see it soon." Guan nodded with a smile. The name Panan was already famous in the Taizong Immortal cultivation world. His second book, with the name Supreme Sect in it, would definitely be heavily promoted by the sect. This book was to satisfy the upper echelons. After this one, Guan wouldn't write about them anymore. It was worth mentioning that the book collection hall had allotted him an additional 20% of the profits this time. This was conceded by the Supreme Sect. Upon hearing Gu An's words, Guyu became immediately exhilarated. He took out a spirit stone from his storage bag and heavily placed it on the table, saying, "Thank you." Guan glanced at the spirit stone on the table, raising his eyebrows. What a rich spiritual energy. Guyu proudly smiled and said, "This is a supreme grade spirit stone, equivalent in value to 100 top grade spirit stones. I only have 2 of these, given to me by my mother. Sincere enough, right? You can write without worries. I can handle everything else for you." 100 top grade spirit stones? Guan was stunned. This guy was truly extravagant. The wealth disparity in the immortal cultivation world was just too vast. 1 supreme grade spirit stone was equivalent to 1 million low grade spirit stones, while a servant disciple's monthly salary was just 1 low grade spirit stone. Rich fool. Guan felt a pang of envy but accepted the supreme grade spirit stone with a smile, saying, "I won't let you down." Guyu became highly excited and began asking about the book's details, but Guan kept his lips tight, making Guyu even more eager. Not long after, Guyu left, and Guan guessed he was heading to the book collection hall. After bidding farewell to Guyu, Guan came in front of Elder Tian and introduced himself. Elder Tian did the same, maintaining a respectful demeanor, with no sign of being the supreme sect leader. The 742 years old Elder Tian had a current lifespan of 850 years, meaning he could live only another 108 years. Guan speculated it was related to his injuries. At the sect leader's level, the current lifespan should be near 2,000 years. Then, Guan took him on a tour, introducing the situation of Medicine Valley and explaining what he should usually do. Elder Tian listened carefully, occasionally asking about the types of herbs they passed by, seeming genuinely interested in farming life. Could it be he truly fell from grace due to deviation? When Guan previously heard of the sect leader's plight, he instinctively thought the sect leader had been ambushed. After all, the sect leader's struggle with the elders had lasted for many years. Now looking at Elder Tian's state, it didn't seem so. Lifespan detection couldn't lie to him. The person before him was indeed the sect leader, LV Badian. The arrival of Elder Tian did not change the rhythm of life in the Third Medicine Valley. Zhen Qin and the other two mostly spent their time cultivating and rarely interacted with him. However, Guan would chat with Elder Tian every time he returned. Half a year passed quickly. Autumn arrived, and falling leaves drifted into Tianya Valley. Guan stood on the path in the garden, watching 3 monkey demons sweep the fallen leaves. In the distance, Luo Hun sat on the hillside, holding the green hero travelogue and reading intently. His spear stood beside him, absorbing strands of spiritual energy that formed a faint vortex. Suddenly, Guan sensed something, glancing into the distance. He looked only once before retracting his gaze. Soon after, a figure walked from the mouth of the valley. The person was dressed in a black and white long robe, exuding elegance, holding a folding fan. Li Xiandao. After many years, the Emperor of Taikang's demeanor was still the same. Guan turned his head and cast a lifespan detection. Divinity Transformation Realm, 9 layers. On the hillside, Luo Hun also noticed Li Zuando's arrival. He quickly stood up, put the green hero travelogue into his storage bag, and then descended the mountain, spear in hand. Luo Hun first paid respects to Li Xiandao, followed by Guan. As Li Xiandao walked towards the Medicine Valley Pavilion, he turned to Guan beside him and asked, "How is it? Are you satisfied with this Medicine Valley of mine?" Guan replied, "Very satisfied, it exceeded my expectations. Some high-rank medicinal herbs are completely new to me. Fortunately, Your Majesty provided me with a medicinal herb chronicles." Have you forgotten how I previously instructed you? Uncle. That's more like it. Li Xiandao laughed heartily, while the expression of Luo Hun, standing on the other side, turned subtle. Uncle? Luo Hun seemed to realize something, and his gaze became strange. The 3 of them, chatting and laughing, arrived in front of the pavilion. Li Xiandao sat down at the stone table, and Luo Hun immediately poured wine for him. Li Xiandao raised his hand, signaling Guan to sit as well. He looked at Guan and asked, "Li should have returned to the Supreme Sect, right?" Guan nodded and said, "He returned last year." "Did he tell you about his experiences over the years?" "Yes, Uncle should have sent people to follow him, right?" "Who would dare to follow him?" "It's just that there are informants everywhere." "Tell me, how could a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator escape from the possession of a Divinity Transformation Realm Great Cultivator? What secret is he hiding?" As Li Xiandao asked this, he lifted his wine cup, drank it in one gulp, and then smiled at Guan. Guan frowned and said, "Secret? He didn't tell me, and it's not something I can ask directly." Li Xiandao smiled knowingly and said, "This son of mine has been of ordinary talent since childhood, the least talented among all my children. But ever since he joined the Supreme Sect, he has soared, constantly surprising me. His growth pleases me greatly. I just fear he might be taken advantage of by someone with ill intentions." Looking at his expression, Guan found it hard to judge his attitude toward Leah. However, regardless, Guan's heart was certainly inclined towards Leah. "Then he'll try to subtly inquire in the future," Guan said thoughtfully. He said so but had no intention of actually asking. Li Xiandao nodded in satisfaction. He turned to Luo Hun standing nearby and asked with a smile, "Luo Hun, do you think Leah has the potential to be the crown prince?" Luo Hun's expression changed slightly, and he responded in a deep voice, "Your servant dare not speak out of turn. You really are no fun." Li Xiandao shook his head and laughed. His gaze then turned to Guan, who quickly said, "Uncle, please don't ask me such questions. I don't want to get involved in trouble." I just want to grow herbs and flowers for you. Ha ha ha. Li Xiandao laughed heartily, grabbing the wine jar beside him and pouring it directly into his mouth, much more boldly than before. Then, he picked up another wine jar and continued to drink. Guan sensed something was wrong. This emperor had concerns. Luo Han noticed it too and frowned as he asked, Your Majesty, has something happened? After drinking 3 jars of wine in one go, Li Xiandao laughed and said, There's no big deal. You've read the Investiture of the Gods, haven't you? Luo Han nodded and said, It's well written. Didn't you like it too? I do like it, but recently, some used the Investiture of the Gods to criticize me, saying I am King Zhou, and the Li family's rule has lasted for 500 years, so it's time for a change. Heavenly destiny belongs to the Ji family. In recent years, the Ji family has frequently sent their disciples to various places to slay demons and exterminate evil, earning a great reputation and popular support. Li Xiandao chuckled. Gu An's heart skipped a beat. Luo Han was furious and said in a deep voice, Your Majesty, who says that the heavenly destiny belongs to the Ji family? Your servant is ready to take orders at any time, even if it means killing Panan. Good heavens! I won't bring you the Green Hero travelogue again. Guan was inwardly indignant, while his face showed a look of concern. Li Xiandao snorted and said, Foolish, killing Panan would only confirm that I am narrow-minded, unable to tolerate even a writer. Hearing this, Guan was very satisfied with Li Xiandao. This is a wise ruler. Your Majesty, don't worry. I'll write Journey to the West next, and the Emperor in it will have the surname Li. Although Journey to the West has a critical element, it targets the Jade Emperor. The portrayal of Li Shimin in the book is still quite good. Though there is no heavenly court in this world, there is an immortal cultivation world. Criticizing the immortal cultivation world also fits well with the current cultivator's expectations of Panan, as long as he doesn't directly name the supreme sect. As Guan was contemplating, Luo Han remained furious. The prefects of various states all have backgrounds and are increasingly slipping out of the court's control. Now there is widespread public discontent. Criticizing me through the investiture of the gods is likely just their first step. One day, swords will be pointed directly at me. I need to build my own power. The Tianya Valley plays a crucial role, don't let me down. Li Xiandao said with a smile. He stood and walked towards the garden, with Guan and Luo Han hurriedly following. It was 3 full days before Li Xiandao finally left. During these 3 days, Li Xiandao often hinted at his expectations for Leia to Guan. The more he did so, the more Guan felt it wasn't that simple. Still, he just let his words go in one ear and out the other, avoiding getting involved in their father-son matters. After Li Xiandao left, Guan also decided to leave. Before departing, Luo Han instructed him to stop bringing Investiture of the Gods and only bring the Green Hero travelogue. In response, Guan chuckled. Seasons changed, and another 3 years passed. This year, Tianya Valley saw the first batch of medicinal herbs mature, and Guan harvested nearly 5,000 years of lifespan in one go, leaving him in a pleasant mood. Starting this year, his annual lifespan income would soar. Currently, his total lifespan had exceeded 70,000 years, and he was set to keep striving for 1,000,000 years. On that day, Guan took Su Han and Jin Qin to the outer sect. Both had reached foundation establishment. Besides continuous cultivation, Guan had also refined many low-rank elixirs for them, aiding their smooth foundation establishment. After sending them to the Hall of Elders in the outer sect, he turned to leave. Servant disciples had to register their identities at the Hall of Elders to officially become outer disciples. As he walked past a street, a familiar voice called out, Senior brother, long time no see. Guan turned and saw Lv dressed in black from the Demon Extermination Hall, walking towards him, followed by 6 disciples from the same hall. How have you been? Guan asked with a smile. Since the change in the sect leader, the Demon Extermination Hall had gained momentum, even surpassing the Law Enforcement Hall. It was common to encounter their members in the outer gate city. LV Jiojia came up to him, nodding and said, "Pretty good. Master just promoted me. Besides better treatment, I have more authority now. Senior brother, if you ever need anything, feel free to come to me." He took out a black token from his storage bag and handed it to Guan. He stood straight, holding the spear in one hand with his eyes closed, saying he was feeling the connection between himself and the spear. Guan did not interfere with Yi Yan's spear technique or body tempering technique, as he had no interest in spear techniques, and he already had the mystic yellow dragon energy skill as his body tempering technique. "Yenner, come drink with us and celebrate that your senior brothers and sisters have become outer disciples," Guan called out loudly. Elder Tian curiously asked, "All these years, you've refined all your medicinal herbs into elixirs for the disciples. What's in it for you?" Even if they are grateful now, over time, the relationship will fade. Why not use the resources on yourself? And me, I'm just an old man who doesn't know how long he can live. Giving elixirs to me is a waste, isn't it? After spending several years together, Elder Tian had developed a good opinion of Guan. Guan treated him well, unlike other disciples who ignored him, and even shared elixirs to help him increase his cultivation level. Before his cultivation level fell, Elder Tian never imagined there would be such a selfless person within the Supreme Sect. He even regretted his previous disregard for the outer sect. Guan laughed, "I have mediocre qualifications. Being too obsessed with improving my cultivation would only bring me anguish. It's better to give hope to the younger generation. As for you, Elder Tian, although you are older than me, you're still my disciple, so I naturally treat you equally. Even if your cultivation level doesn't improve much, it will enhance your chi blood, allowing you to live better, right?" His gaze shifted to Yi Yan, a smile on his face. The sunlight illuminated his profile, which unexpectedly moved Elder Tian. Elder Tian suddenly recalled the words of Gu Zong when recommending Guan, "Don't be fooled by that kid's low cultivation level." The fact that he wrote the investiture of the gods shows his broad mind. After gaining fame and fortune, he still devotes himself to the Medicine Valley, tirelessly contributing to the Supreme Sect. In terms of character and demeanor, I believe he surpasses great cultivators of the void-crossing realm. Thinking about this, Elder Tian's mouth curled into a smile, seemingly infected by Gu An's warmth. Soon, the three of them gathered around a stone table, drinking and eating meat. Guan shared his encounters of the day. Besides Zhenqin and Su Han, he also mentioned the Demon Extermination Hall to gauge Elder Tian's reaction. However, Elder Tian remained indifferent, focusing on his chicken leg. Yi Yan chimed in, "I think the Demon Extermination Hall is quite good. Recently in Mystic Valley, there were several encounters with demon cultivators. The outer sect is indeed too chaotic. The bad reputation of the Demon Extermination Hall might be fueled by demon path spies behind the scenes." Guan nodded. It was a possibility. Since the establishment of the Demon Extermination Hall, Mystic Valley had not seen any demon cultivators, nor had any spies from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion come for him. "Master, once I reach the Foundation establishment, I don't want to stay in the Supreme Sect. I want to join the military," Yi Yan suddenly said. "Goodness. Saying you want to jump ship right in front of the former sect leader?" Guan asked, "Why?" Yi Yan's face was firm. The Supreme Sect values spirit root qualification. For someone like me, it's hard to stand out. Also, joining the military allows me to slay demons and save the populace. My parents were killed by demons. I vowed from a young age that once I learned spells, would travel the world as a wandering hero, slaying demons and monsters." Elder Tian looked at him and nodded slightly. Guan smiled, "I didn't expect you to have such grand ambitions. Master supports you." Yi Yan smiled, immediately lifting a bowl of wine to toast Guan, then poured another bowl to clink with Elder Tian. The atmosphere became even more harmonious. After opening up, Yi Yan spoke more than usual, making Elder Tian talkative as well. "Master, will you transfer disciples from Mystic Valley?" Yi Yan asked. Guan shook his head. Let's wait until you reach Foundation establishment. I'm afraid others might disturb your path enlightenment. With Elder Tian and me, we can manage. Each area was already running smoothly, and daily chores were not many. Hearing this, Yi Yen felt even more touched. Guan began to envision the future with him, drinking spiritual wine one jar after another until he became drunk. At the end of summer, the scorching heat of the world was receding. Guan stood on the grass of Mystic Valley, watching 4 cultivators from the Demon Extermination Hall fly away, silently. Wuxin approached, saying, "Senior brother, what are you daydreaming about? There are so many boxes. Aren't you going to check them?" Those 4 were sent by Lu Jiujia to deliver gifts to Mystic Valley. After waiting half a day for Guan to return, they finally left. Guan withdrew his gaze, looked at Wuxin, and smiled. "You do the counting. They're probably medicinal herbs." Wuxin's face lit up. This feeling of being trusted was wonderful. Now, Guan had handed over the management of Mystic Valley entirely to Wuxin. He only came to pick the herbs, and Wuxin had no objections to this. Guan helping to shoulder part of the labor was something he could not resist. He sought power, not to drive Guan away. Without Guan, he felt Mystic Valley lacked something. Therefore, during Guan's absence, he focused almost entirely on cultivating. Guan turned and walked toward the transmission array platform. After a while, he arrived at the 3rd Medicine Valley. Since Shinqin and Su Han became outer disciples, this Medicine Valley had become very deserted. After finishing his work, Yi Yen would go to practice his spear, and Elder Tian was a man of few words. The Sky Dragon grabbed the manual with its claws and quickly said, "Don't forget to bring me roasted chicken." Guan nodded with a smile and then turned to leave. The Sky Dragon landed, placed the manual on the ground, and started flipping through it with its claws. After leaving the 8 scenic caves, Guan walked into the mountain forest. Under the night sky, the forest was covered in snow, but he didn't leave any footprints. Early the next morning, after accompanying the disciples in their exercises, Guan was about to head to the 3rd Medicine Valley when Yilan arrived. Since his junior sister had come, Guan naturally had to accompany her. The two went into the pavilion to chat. Guan first asked about her recent situation. Even if she was busy, she would visit Guan every year. It was impossible for Guan not to be moved by this. Starting from last year, disciples from the outer sect have often gone missing. Our law enforcement hall has investigated but couldn't find the real culprit. However, the Demon Extermination Hall always finds demon path spies who confess to the crimes. Yilan sighed. After the sect leader changed, she and Lu Jiujia no longer contacted each other. Mainly, the 2 halls didn't get along, being like water and fire. Guan laughed and said, "Then let the Demon Extermination Hall catch them. It will give you more time to cultivate." Yilan shook her head and said, "It's not that simple. The hall master of the Demon Extermination Hall wants to merge with the Law Enforcement Hall, and the Outer Sect's Great Elder seems to have the same intention. If our hall doesn't perform, we will eventually be disbanded. It doesn't matter. If you get disbanded, come back. The elixirs I can provide are no less than the Law Enforcement Hall's benefits. That's not acceptable. If you give them to me, what will you do?" Yilan directly refused with a serious expression. Seeing this, Guan didn't say more and changed the topic to other matters. Since Yilan wanted to stay a few more days, Guan decided to stay in the Mystic Valley until after the Spring Festival. After the Spring Festival, the winter snow completely melted. Guan first went to Tianya Valley to harvest thousands of years of lifespan, then replanted. After spending 2 days there, he went to the 3rd Medicine Valley. The Mystic Valley was crowded, and Tianya Valley had 3 monkey demons, so it wasn't lonely. But the 3rd Medicine Valley was different. Every time Guan came, it was deathly silent. Yi Yen and Elder Tian both enjoyed this quietness, not disturbing each other. Guan walked into a garden area and began harvesting mature medicinal herbs. Elder Tian came over and curiously asked, "Why do you always pick the herbs yourself?" Guan replied, "I have to do some work. And when I personally pick and package them, it gives me a sense of contributing to the sect." Upon hearing this, Elder Tian laughed, "You are indeed contributing, not just self-satisfying. I hope the higher-ups think the same." Guan laughed lightly as he harvested. Elder Tian suddenly asked, "If you were made sect leader, what would you do?" Guan's heart skipped a beat, but his actions didn't falter. He said annoyed, "Stop thinking about it. You're not the sect leader, and you can't pass it to me. Besides, I can only manage the Medicine Valley, not the millions of disciples in the Supreme Sect. With my current cultivation level, who would respect me as the sect leader?" He didn't want to be the sect leader. He wanted to cultivate in peace, not face pressure. If he became the sect leader, he couldn't escape if he encountered an invincible enemy. Guan wasn't loyal enough to lay down his life for the Supreme Sect. Elder Tian chuckled and stopped pressing the issue. After Guan finished harvesting, they both walked towards the pavilion. "I actually know an incredible cultivation technique. Do you want to learn it?" "Even Elder Guzong doesn't know about it," Elder Tian suddenly asked. "I don't want to learn. Isn't writing books better? You know I don't cultivate much, relying on elixirs to progress. You're still young, why are you don't understand. This is called enjoying life. I like to go with the flow. Of course, that's just me, everyone has different pursuits." Guan said casually. Why was this old fellow talking so much today? Trying to ruin my Daoist heart? Elder Tian wanted to continue, but suddenly there was a sound from the sky. The two turned to look and saw Elder Guzong flying over on a magic artifact, with a woman in black standing behind him, her face covered by a veil, revealing only her bright, enchanting eyes. The holy maiden of the Daotian sect had arrived? Guan asked Elder Tian to take the herbs inside while he went to greet Elder Guzong and the woman. He cast a lifespan detection. Shenzhen, Core Formation Realm 2nd Layer 78/660/1050. After landing, Elder Guzong laughed and said, "Guan, this is the holy maiden of the Daotian sect, Shenzhen. You must entertain her well." He turned to face Shenzhen. She raised her hand to salute him. He nodded and quickly left on his golden wheel. Shenzhen looked at Guan with her bright eyes, carefully examining him. Just by her eyes, one could imagine she was a rare beauty. Guan raised his hand in greeting and said, "I am Guan. Greetings, Miss Shen." Shenzhen nodded slightly and curiously asked, "Which do you prefer, Investiture of the Gods or Supreme Immortal Venerable?" Testing me right from the start? Guan's expression remained unchanged. "I like both. People can't just like one book. Different moods lead to wanting to read different books, don't you agree?" Shenzhen's eyes lit up. "I actually wrote a book too. Would you like to read it?" Shenzhen blinked her eyes and asked. Guan naturally didn't refuse. "Shall we look at it upstairs?" Shenzhen nodded and followed Guan to the second floor of the pavilion. You are different, from Investiture of the Gods to Supreme Immortal Venerable. Your styles are so varied that I am very curious about you. Guan felt a little regretful upon hearing this. Who exactly was Green Hero? This was his greatest curiosity within the Supreme Sect. After writing Supreme Immortal Venerable, will you continue to write about Daoist tradition conflicts similar to Investiture of the Gods? Shenzhen asked, looking at Guan. Guan gave an ambiguous answer, probably. What about you, Miss Shen? Will you be staying in the Supreme Sect? Shenzhen smiled and said, Is the Supreme Sect giving you pressure? Actually, we just need a nominal alliance. The Daotian sect also needs to ally with the Supreme Sect to deter other sects within the Great Yu dynasty and to face the great demon Catastrophe together. Guan raised an eyebrow and asked, "What is this great demon Catastrophe?" On this continent, there are 9 adjacent dynasties, including Taizong and Great Yu. The 9 dynasties have expelled powerful demons, turning the regions outside the 9 dynasties into places overrun by demons. Now, the demons outside have become powerful enough to threaten the 9 dynasties. Even though various immortal cultivation sects often send disciples to exterminate demons, the vast regions outside always have some exceptionally talented demons that grow. Within 100 years, the 9 dynasties will face a demonic catastrophe not seen in thousands of years, during which dynasties will inevitably fall. As Shenzhen spoke of this, her eyes were full of gravity. Guan felt a sense of pressure assailing him upon hearing this. He had already imagined the scene of mountains and rivers shattering, the Supreme Sect struggling to hold the front lines, and forcibly conscripting servant disciples to the battlefield. No way. Within 100 years, he had to extend his lifespan to 1,000,000 years and unlock the next function to rapidly boost his cultivation level. Guan thought to himself, and then asked, "If that's the case, why don't you focus on cultivation instead of writing books?" Shenzhen was not as talented as Ji Xiaoyu or Zhou Tongyu, nor even Leah, but her aptitude was not bad, and she had the backing of the Daotian sect. As long as she was willing to cultivate, she surely could advance further. Upon hearing this, Shenzhen chuckled and said, "Everyone has their own destiny. Cultivation is not my destiny. I prefer reading and writing. What if someday I gain enlightenment from books? Who says you must absorb nature's spiritual energy to gain enlightenment? Throughout all the books I've read, it seems no energy absorption cultivator has lived until the present." Guan couldn't help but look at her differently. She really dared to think big. After chatting for a while, Shenzhen prepared to leave and Guan stood up to see her off. Chapter 60, Ancestor Save Me. "Can you handle that demon lord?" Guan asked suspiciously. Leah laughed triumphantly. "I have already reached the core formation stage, don't underestimate me. In the Supreme Sect, the core formation realm is just an inner sect disciple. Can you really match up to the demon lord? You brat, I came here specifically to protect you, and you're still complaining? I'm afraid it'll be like that time when you charged out to deal with the demon of greed and got injured and fell. Can we not bring that up?" The two started bickering, but Guan wasn't really angry. Leah could feel that Guan's concern was out of a good heart, not wanting to burden him. Little did he know that Guan wasn't worried about being a burden, but about being a hindrance. "Brother, if the demon lord comes and you're by my side, I won't be able to act." Guan couldn't express his true thoughts, and since Leah insisted on staying, he had to let it be. "By the way, have you seen junior brother Lu recently?" Guan asked. Leah shook his head. "I haven't seen him. I used to run into him, but he joined the demon extermination hall, and I don't get along with the elders there, so we haven't kept in touch." Talking about this, his expression turned indifferent. He didn't care about Lu Jiujia at all. Though he was warm to Guan, he was actually very cold to everyone else. "Let's go upstairs and have a proper chat. I heard you acquired another Medicine Valley. Tell me all about it." Leah pulled Guan upstairs. They chatted late into the night. Guan didn't reveal his identity as Panan but instead told Leah that the harvest from Mystic Valley had pleased their superiors, hence he was given another Medicine Valley. Considering that Li Xiandao was criticized for the investiture of the gods, how dare Guan reveal his identity to Leah? What if Leah let it slip? After all, they were father and son. No matter how big the conflict, before a complete break, their relationship would still be closer than with Guan. As summer transitioned to autumn, the temperature was still quite hot. 10 days had passed since Leah came, and Mystic Valley hadn't encountered any danger during this time. Guan even went out to manage the caves of the outer sect disciples, with Leah insisting on accompanying him. However, upon reaching the caves, he didn't go inside, fearing he might trouble Guan. Guan wanted Leah to stay in Mystic Valley to protect the disciples, but Leah didn't care about anyone else. As he said, teaching swordsmanship to those disciples was already a favor to Guan. That evening, Guan was picking ripe medicinal herbs, while Leah was meditating at the mountain peak on the west. The setting sun hung just above his head, giving him the aura of an unrivaled master. Although Elder Chen clearly intended to capture Leah, if he directly went to the inner sect, there wouldn't be further trouble. He decided to give Leah more medicinal herbs when he returned. Slaying Elder Chen gained him 37 years of lifespan, neither too much nor too little. He began to examine Elder Chen's storage bag, sweeping it several times with his divine sense to extract and destroy any potentially dangerous items. By dawn, Leah finally returned. He had changed into clean clothes, looking as if he hadn't experienced a fierce battle. Guan met him downstairs and asked, "Senior Brother Li, why do you look unwell?" Leah forced a smile. "I had a minor mishap while practicing last night. It's nothing serious." Guan furrowed his brows and dragged him upstairs, taking out dozens of bottles of elixirs, claiming he had stocked them up. Leah asked in surprise, "Junior Brother Gu, what is this? You came back from outside the valley looking unwell. You must have encountered a battle last night, correct?" Guan said seriously. Li Ya's expression turned grim. He took a deep breath. "I did encounter a demon cultivator last night and got injured. Junior Brother Gu, you should move to the inner sect Medicine Valley. Staying in the outer sect is not safe." "Not safe? I don't believe it. Gu An's foundation was here, he couldn't abandon it. Whoever dared to cause trouble would die." Guan smiled bitterly on the surface. "Senior Brother Li, the herbs planted in this Medicine Valley are all low rank. The Demon Lord wouldn't be interested. Actually, without you here, we're safer. You should go to the inner sect, we'll be fine. I can ask Lu Jiujia for help. We haven't lost touch." "But," Leah hesitated. Guan interrupted, "Senior Brother Li, I always felt that the chaos in the outer sect had little to do with demon cultivators. The Demon Extermination Hall has caught many demon path spies over the years. Could it be that someone is merely causing chaos under the guise of the demon path? If you go to the inner sect, you might save the outer sect. But if you stay here, how long can you protect me alone?" Upon hearing this, Li Ya's expression darkened, recalling Elder Chen. After a few moments of struggle, he took a deep breath. "Junior Brother Gu, you are right. I will go to the inner sect immediately." Guan smiled, shoving all the elixirs into Li Ya's hands, making him very touched. After a brief exchange, Guan urged him to depart, which Leah also felt should not be delayed. Due to his injuries, Leah could only fly using sword control. After leaving Mystic Valley, he couldn't help but look back, murmuring, "Do you see, this is why I can't let go of him. No matter who it is, anyone who dares to harm him, I will make them regret it." At worst, the function of extending his lifespan by 1,000,000 years would be delayed by a year. This time, he circled far and walked 300 miles by night, stopping in a dense forest. He stopped because he sensed two nascent soul auras, one of which he had felt before. Zui Jin, the maniac swordsman of Tsanghu Lake, who had attained sword enlightenment near Mystic Valley and was injured by Guan as the flying leaf sword Immortal, had last been seen at the Ji Mansion. Guan had suppressed his aura to the lowest level, not afraid of being noticed by nascent soul cultivators. Miles away, above the forest, the blue-clothed Zhuai stood in the air. 5 treasure swords hovered around him, showcasing the demeanor of a sword cultivator. Opposing him was a man in a large black robe, burly with a long staff, thick eyebrows, and leopard eyes, with a square, stern face. His black robe billowed violently, and his domineering aura pressed the forest below to the sides. Zhuai, instead of reading books in the inner sect, why come to stop me? The black-robed man asked coldly. Zhuai, expressionless, said, Chen Xianjin, as great elder of the outer sect, you cultivate a demon's skill and harm your comrades. I'm not stopping you, you've committed many injustices. I come on behalf of the heavens to take you. Chen Xianjin laughed contemptuously, don't you know who I am working for? He then struck his staff against the ground, releasing circles of purple light that formed complex and mysterious formations over 100 feet in diameter. When the edge of the formation neared Zhuai, it was blocked by an invisible sword intent, making it look like a piece was missing from the formation from above. I know. I can't deal with him, but I can deal with you. If I kill you, even if the next great elder of the outer sect continues his evil deeds, at least I can protect the outer sect disciples for some time, Zhuai said expressionlessly. The 5 treasure swords around him unsheathed simultaneously, their light illuminating the night sky. You want to kill me? Chen Xianjin seemed to hear the biggest joke, his face turning fierce. His aura erupted suddenly, and the forest within 10 miles swayed violently. Zhuai face changed slightly, his eyes narrowing. A nascent soul of the 1st layer killing a nascent soul of the 9th layer? Zhuai, do you think just because you have your master to back you, I won't dare kill you? You walking the path of power without concealing yourself is a mistake in itself. Saving some mediocre outer sect disciples is insignificant compared to saving the entire Taizong dynasty. If you don't understand this, then you've lived in vain. Chen Xianjin stood arrogantly, his domineering aura pressing against Zhuai sword shadows, causing his 5 treasure swords to tremble. I'll give you one last chance. Turn back now, and it's not too late. Either return and read your investiture of the gods or die. After reaching the unification realm, Gu An's spiritual power also began to change, becoming stronger and more abundant. The range of his divine sense increased tremendously, but he did not intentionally search, fearing he might disturb the great cultivators passing overhead. The number of void-crossing realm great cultivators had already exceeded 10. Guan even saw a great cultivator with the Ji surname. No wonder the Ji family dared to open a mansion in the Supreme Sect. This person had not appeared during Ji Xiaoyu's banquet before. A little more than half an hour later, Gu An's spiritual power growth began to slow down. This indicated that the breakthrough was near its end. Gu An's mind gradually calmed down. This lifespan barrier already consumed more than 1,000 years, but he did not feel any regret. After all, the barrier helped him avoid detection by over 100 great cultivators. The great cultivators he identified were at least at the nascent soul realm. And this was just one direction of the Supreme Sect. How many great cultivators would there be when counting those overseeing the other 7 outer gate cities? What reassured Guan was that he did not see any unification realm great cultivators for the time being. Although this could not completely prove that the Supreme Sect did not have any unification realm great cultivators, it at least indicated that the unification realm was at the top level within the Supreme Sect.